Hey, everyone. Welcome to this week's very special session of The Good, the Bad, and the Truth. It is your girl, Naya Angel, coming through with my homies for life, Mr. PAT and E-Man. What's up, fellas?
What's up? What's good? What's good out there, listeners? What's good?
So, everyone, this is a very special episode. It is the 50th episode here at The Good, the Bad, and the Truth. We appreciate all of our supporters so much.
Yes, we
We're
do.
super
Yes,
excited.
we do.
You all have been excellent. We've been getting that wonderful feedback from all across the globe. We've, learned we have listeners in India and London, and a few in Africa, the US, Canada. We appreciate you all. Thank you so much. And if you haven't yet, please go ahead and like and subscribe on YouTube. Let's get that YouTube subscription and support up. We are super, super happy to be able to provide you all with this content. And this episode is very, very special to us, the 50th episode. We're going to take a walk back through memory lane and reminisce on some of our favorite moments filming thus far. Oh, man, fellas, where do we even begin?
Right.
I don't even know. I ain't gonna lie. I don't even know.
Yeah,
we've had some great moments.
Yeah.
Oh my funniest moment when we first started, when we did the Superman, when we did the Justice League episode and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that was a dope episode.
Yes, it was.
Good.
That's one of my favorites.
And still, every time I listen to it, I still laugh when PAT stated verbatim when he stated basically he was like, "Yo, I had to forget about the movie." And it was just so damn funny. And I keep laughing every time I hear it.
Something along the lines of, he pretends like the movie doesn't exist.
Yeah.
At all.
When we talking about the Joss Whedon Justice.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
I'm saying it right now, I'm just like, oh man, y'all reminded me that it does exist.
My man completely erased it out of his memory bank. Like,
and I said the joke wasn't even that bad, but I was like, damn,
bruh,
don't even exist.
Sir, basura.
Yeah. Some hot garbage juice.
Yeah. Hot summertime garbage juice. Like, sitting out all day garbage juice.
Man, that Mortal Kombat joint was really good, but I just feel it's so funny. I heard my playback on the joint when I kept calling it shit, and then the whole rant I did, the whole thing about the toilet and the shit thing, I replayed it back, and I was listening to it, and I was like, damn, I was a fucking fool. Because I didn't know what I said at first, because I was just speaking at the moment.
Right.
But at the moment, because I was so mad. Because when we were about to start recording, I just finished the movie. And I was like, man, this shit sucked.
Some of our best moments came from you just like being in the throw and the passion of it. Because, sir, your whole Ben Affleck is not Batman rant. It's freaking classic, bro. You went off on my guy Ben Affleck.
Yeah, you did.
Like I stated before, I don't have no beef with Ben Affleck. I really don't. We all know he's not supposed to be playing Batman. My nerds out there been supporting me, and I thank y'all for that. But yeah.
Lord. So people been enabling that Ben Affleck as Batman. Hey,
well, there's gonna be people out there who enable him, but we know there's people on the other side of the spectrum too,
right?
With Ben Affleck as Batman.
I mean, other people that I talked to actually gave him credit that he played a good Bruce Wayne, but me, I ain't giving you no credit, man. You did a horrible job.
So no credit. Now you're on Bruce Wayne.
Now you're on Bruce Wayne. Yes, Ben. Like I said, Ben, I ain't got no beef with you, Ben. But yeah, I'm giving you zero credit for your case.
Oh wait,
Joss Whedon. I'm gonna show you how crazy. Joss Whedon even said it himself that you guys were beefing, and he stated he cut your parts out, my man. So he already knew you was a shitty Batman.
Well,
I don't know
Wait a minute, bro. If memory serves me correctly, we had a question for you of if Ben Affleck wasn't the proper person for that role, he wasn't the best person for that role, who you thought was a better fit. I don't recall us getting that answer yet, PAT. Did you get that answer?
No, I gave y'all the answer. But y'all said the dude who was playing him already played Robin in the last Batman joint with Christian Bale.
Oh, you talking about Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
Yeah. But here comes the thing that many people don't know about that movie. Christian Bale already said he's not playing Batman no more. So that was the end of it. So I'm like, yo, put that man as Batman because he played a hell of a Robin. And I know he can play Batman. He got the look.
They were going to maybe consider making him Nightwing.
Right, I would say
I don't know if he was going to be Batman.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I can't see him as Batman, honestly.
Nah. And then also not that age group, right? Because what we were saying
he's 40 though. I mean, with all the CGI and other things and all those, like, you know, the makeup and all that stuff they do, man, they can make that man pass like he, like, you know, 55 or something like that.
No.
That's not going to work.
So
that's not going to work, sir.
I don't know. I mean, I can probably look at the Friends cast and whatnot. And he can probably play Batman. But yeah, because if they're letting Ben play Batman, hell, this should be like a whole. This should be like a whole like, you know, if they got Ben Affleck playing Batman, man, now it's just saying, you know what? Let's start this picking people from all different roles that Ben did, you know, movies.
So you just show some random group of folks like the Friends cast.
Yeah, the Friends cast.
Might as well. You might as well. You just might as well. Because they letting Ben Affleck play Batman, and then because he's playing Batman, now Ben's getting everything now. See? You know,
sir, that is so crazy.
We need to discredit him very quickly and whatnot.
But you know Affleck's a director though. He's a producer, and he's been directing and producing his own movies.
Right, like Argo and Gone Girl, right? Or was it just Argo?
No, he did Argo and Gone Girl.
Yeah, both of those were lit.
Yeah, those are solid movies, and I think he did The Town also.
Right, I was gonna say I think The Town too, which was also a good movie.
Yeah, so I don't know. You just don't want to give him credit.
No, I'm not discrediting him as a director. He's not a bad director. I think he can do that. I feel like that is what he's good at. Damn, man, this is how I'm feeling about Ben Affleck. I feel like this is what Ben should have done. Ben should have just looked at himself, took his pink slip, put it in the box, and just be like, you know what? I couldn't do this. And just walk off set and be like, let me just stick to directing. And I'd be like,
you said and just walk off set.
Just walk off set and be like, you know what? I am not that great of an actor. I'd be like, yes, Ben, you're not that great of an actor. I still love you though, man. Still love you though.
Great. My man said it just walk off set. You know
just
what?
Walk off set, Ben.
I'm horrible.
Ben, I'll help you pack everything in the car.
Wait a minute. I got a legitimate question, man. How come you ain't showing all of this, you know, angst towards my dude George Clooney, who definitely should have did that shit by
man. George Clooney was definitely by far the worst Batman
at all. Period.
It's so funny. I actually rewatched that bad movie, but here comes the thing. Didn't I say there was? I don't know. We need to check the episode because I remember when y'all. I remember. I said something about George Clooney that he needs to hang himself and whatnot.
Oh Lord!
I just forgot what episode it was. Only
that is one level of extreme. Okay,
I was heated at the moment because I feel like, was it that Batman rant? I gotta double check where was that.
Yeah, we were talking about Batman. It was on the same episode with Ben Affleck when we were talking about Ben Affleck. We talked about all the other Batmans also.
Right.
And then, did I follow up? That was like, George Clooney was about, he should just hang himself. He shouldn't have even done that role in the first place.
So who was worse, George Clooney or Ben Affleck?
Great question.
Damn. Ooh.
George Clooney, this is not nothing.
Yeah, this ain't even something to think about.
Man, that means I gotta give Ben credit for him being better than George Clooney.
Bruh, I cannot get you between Ben Affleck as Batman and you doing the dog whistling on the DMX dedication episode, which, by the way, was one of my favorite episodes ever. Resting.
Yeah, same here. I love that episode.
Yes, that's definitely one of my favorite. But sir, that damn barking.
Yo, it's so crazy.
Every time I listen to that episode, sir.
Man.
Every time.
So
that
when I heard about
me out.
So when I heard about the whole DMX thing, because I was like, man, I had to actually practice it because I used to do a little bit of DMX impressions because when I was listening to him, I thought, I was X-Men and whatnot. But since I haven't done it in a while, I was like, man, I need to get back into that mode. So I started watching a few of his interviews, started listening to a few DMX songs. I was like, all right, I got my mind right. So I was like, all right, cool. So I was going to walk in. I was like, man, I'm going to just do it for you. And I'm going to just start acting like X, and just came in this thing and just rocked it out. So
speaking of DMX impression, you know which comedian did a good one? Cat Williams.
Oh yeah. Really? Yeah. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Oh yeah, it was that damn his the big I know he had a couple big comedy specials, but one of the first ones, damn, I really should remember that one too. But yeah, he did like a little impression of DMX, and yeah, that was
what's his name? Did a good impression of DMX.
Checking that out. Definitely checking that
out. What's his name? Did a good one. Ari Spears.
Yeah, Ari Spears.
Oh yeah,
when he did his little stand-up joint, when he was talking about, if you had like I think LL, Snoop Dogg, DMX, and like and Jay-Z on the track and whatnot. I was like, man, that was actually a dope bit and whatnot. That was really dope. So did
y'all see that Saturday Night Live? I think it was Saturday Night Live. I'm not sure. Where Ari Spears played DMX's mom.
Oh
yeah. Did y'all see that clip?
I think that was Mad TV.
Yeah, Mad TV. That's what it was.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
Yep.
That was one of my favorite little clips from off of like a show like that. DMX did such a good job, and Ari Spears played his mom, and that was absolutely hilarious. Man, I miss X so much.
Okay, the Cat Williams special was the Pimp Chronicles.
It was the first Pimp Chronicles. Yeah,
the first Pimp Chronicles. Yeah, when he was wearing that green suit.
Because that's actually his rank. That's actually his best like grossing like special.
Yeah, man. I mean, that shit was a classic for real. I mean,
really? I can't remember that. I'm sure I've seen it, but I haven't seen a Cat Williams special in so long.
Yeah, he hasn't been out for a while. But
right. Okay, I'm gonna have to check it out now because you said he got a DMX impersonation.
Yeah, he got a little impression of him.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what's up, fellas. Yeah, that's definitely, I would say, one of my favorite episodes. It's so hard for to choose just a few favorite episodes because we be so lit in every one of them.
Right.
But the DMX episode was definitely special. Another one that really, really came through, in my opinion, was when we did the review of all the movie trailers, and we just had that fun kind of dork out moment a few episodes ago where we were going through
the session.
Yes, all the superhero movie trailers. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I had a chance to really
geek out on.
Yeah. Whenever we get to geek out, that's because we cover so many serious topics. It's every once in a while to fall back and of course, not that there's anything wrong with it. That was the point of us creating this platform. But every once in a while, just have those complete geek out moments. That episode was so lit.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I ain't gonna lie, because that week I was ready to talk about everything, and I'm definitely seeing Black Widow coming out this summer.
Yes, I want to see it.
Yeah, definitely want to see that one.
Hopefully, it actually comes out in July.
hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all know.
Third pushback now.
Right, it was 3, 4, 5.
Right.
A lot of pushbacks. Yeah. But actually, they put out the trailer for the Eternals.
I didn't get a chance to see that yet, but I'm excited to see the trailer. Is it dope?
I mean, it's all right. I mean, I honestly don't have much of an interest in it, but I think it's going to be one of those. I mean, it's one of those movies that people are going to go see because it's a Marvel movie.
True.
But, there's nobody really recognizable, of course.
Right.
What movie are you talking about?
The Eternals.
Eternals?
Yeah.
Marvel had.
Is Valkyrie one of the characters?
Valkyrie from Thor?
Yeah.
Nah. She's not in
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay. Because it's supposed to be like ancient superheroes or something, right?
Right. They're basically immortals, and they've lived on Earth for thousands of years. And yeah, they've been like hiding in secret. You know, basically, not hiding in secret, but living in secret, basically. And I guess they, for lack of a better phrase, they come to the surface where they, I guess, show themselves or whatever. I don't know, but yeah, basically they're immortals. They're immortals.
Definitely going to check it out. Definitely.
I'll check it out. I mean, I'll check it out. You know.
Yeah, I'm gonna check out the trailer for sure. Quick note, because you mentioned the word immortal, and I meant to ask you all before the last time we were talking about superhero stuff, but I forgot. Do either one of you watch that show on Amazon Prime called Invincible?
Not yet. I mean, I've had a lot of people talk to me about it. But that's something I got on my list to watch. People told me it was really good.
Trust me. Okay, here's the thing. Do you all watch the show on Amazon Prime called The Boys?
Oh yeah,
I watched The Boys. I've seen that. That joint is very interesting. It's been hard for me to follow, but it's a very interesting show.
Okay, so if you like The Boys, you are going to definitely like Invincible, because it's similar to that premise, except for it's an animation.
Okay.
Yeah. Really good. Check that out.
It's animation. It's animation.
Yeah, check that out, fellas. You're gonna really, really like that. It's only had one season so far, and then season 2 is supposed to be coming out in a few weeks, I think I saw. So super excited about that. But yeah, that was definitely one of my favorite episodes. We just had the opportunity to kind of nerd out and talk through things, and it's just so many, it's so hard to choose.
It is. What I will say though, I could name I guess 2 of my least favorite, and for me, honestly, it'll probably be the first 2 episodes. The one where we talked about Tom Brady and Trump, and then the other one with Chad Wheeler and Chad Wheeler's situation. I would say the Kaepernick one too, I wasn't too crazy about, which that was the 3rd episode. And reason being is because we were just starting out at the time, and for especially those first 2 episodes, I was just winging it. I didn't have any notes or anything, so I wasn't really prepared. So I don't know, when I listened to them, I mean, the episodes are good, but like, just when I like look at like what's my favorite, least favorite, like to me, at least for me anyway, they would be, I guess, lower on the totem pole, because it's like you're trying to find your groove in a way, right? Yeah, and it's that like the whole podcast thing was like it was new to me, so I was just kind of like and I was nervous, and it was just a lot going on with those in particular.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, because to be honest, I haven't listened to the first 3 episodes, to really be honest. But when we first came out, I did listen to it, so I can work on not just my delivery, but just more of I had to find my groove and whatnot. And that's exactly and that was the thing. And then after more like topics, and when we finally got our groove, like everything just felt well, because for me, I have my notes, but then also I got my physical notes, and I got my mental notes also, going on. So it's just been good, because the one thing that really shocked me and everything was like our Shannon Sharp episode got the most
that's actually one of my favorites.
Yeah, me too.
On YouTube. Like, I was like, what? And this is so crazy. Before that, it was the whole Stacey Dash joint that we did, and that had the most views.
And Candace Owens, right?
And the Candace Owens one. After the simple fact, we put the Shannon Sharp one out. So I'm thinking, because I called Stacey, a hoe and whatnot, But I think, wasn't that the one that made the reference from 3-6 Mafia and whatnot? That you gave me praise now, Angel? I think, was it that one? I think it was.
I think it was that one.
Yeah, I think it was that one. And it was so crazy because when I played it, I just keep laughing from it and whatnot. And I was like, damn, that was good. And I see why that one had the most views, because we had something that was good, and then because how Naya does everything, and when I say something, you know, it's always a good rebuttal behind it. So I was like, man, that was dope. You know?
Which one was the episode where you started the "Don't Save These Hoes" movement?
I think that was the Russell Wilson one.
It was the Russell Wilson,
yeah. Which I like that one too.
Yes, that was a really good episode, because my man was like, a couple of times he was like, come on, man, these hoes don't want to be saved. And it's so funny because I hadn't heard that in so long since the song, right? So it was just so fresh again. Oh man, you can always depend on E-Man to keep you on your toes.
Right, coming from left field and shit.
Man. So yeah, I would thought, you know, the Coming to America like 2-1 would probably have a little bit more views. But it seemed like a lot. I feel like it was just so much disconnect with that movie. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely some disconnect there. I'm I'm kind of surprised that didn't get more views just because of the time we put it out, and of course there was like all this talk surrounding it.
Right.
And, you know, of course people were listening to other people's opinions on what the movie was like, and everybody was talking about how bad it was and all this other stuff. So, you know, that's
because everyone already knew it was busted.
Right. Yeah. Pretty much people knew. They're just like, you know, I'm not gonna watch the movie again. I'm not gonna listen to any reviews. And just fuck it, you know.
I still haven't seen that movie a second time. I do not have any desire to.
Well, yeah, I have no desire.
I agree. Yeah, it's only been one watch, and I'm like,
I'm
good on it.
Because I didn't like how they had a storyline, but they keep adding stuff to Coming to America, and then it made it seem like, you know, like even when, like, you know, that club scene in that what's her name, Leslie, that comedian and whatnot,
Leslie Jones.
Yeah, Leslie Jones and whatnot. You saw how they kept cutting back from the old one, and they try to put the fillers, you know, from Coming to America in that whole club scene, how that thing happened and whatnot. I was like, nah.
Yeah, that was vibe, you know.
It was cheesy, bro. Like, it was cheesy.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, but I don't know. They made it work, because they thought, you know, we all in the house, they'll come give us a shitty movie and we'll roll with it. But the one,
not let me throw out a shitty movie real quick.
I think that's how a lot of, you know, I think that's the approach with a lot of the content coming out. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some good stuff out there, but there's definitely like a conveyor belt of like bad movies, like people just throwing shit out there just to, you know, just throw it out there. And I mean, Coming to America is definitely included in that. Coming to America 2 is definitely included in that, where it's just like, well, you know, the original Coming to America was a classic. Everybody loved it. So let's do the sequel. And once we throw the sequel out there, since it has, you know, most of the old cast members, you know, people just eat it up. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like, nah, this was some shit.
Right, period. I told y'all those accents are so offensive, bruh. Like, bruh, you didn't take any time whatsoever to even try with those freaking accents. The accents in the first movie, like they at least put some like effort towards it.
Yeah, you can tell there's definitely more effort in it. Yep.
That salt and pepper thing caught me off guard. Like, I was like, salt and pepper. I was like, what the? You know?
The whole Alive funeral thing, I was like, oh my gosh, bro. This was really just an opportunity to put a whole bunch of Black pop culture artists in one movie. That's really what you did. Thinking it would appeal to the masses.
Yep. And then they killed the best character, man. I thought the man was going to be at least in the movie. How you going to kill one of the best characters literally, like, you know, in 20 minutes of the movie? I'm like, damn, I should have just killed Arsenio Hall's character or something like that, because they barely used him in the movie, you know?
Yeah, listen, the fact that they had the opportunity to make Michael Blackson the general and didn't is stupid as hell. He would have been perfect as the general.
My man Michael would have said something so wild. And
yeah, he's out. Yeah,
which is what they tried to do with Wesley Snipes to a certain extent. And it's like, bruh, Michael Blackson would have done a perfect job at it. I appreciate getting Wesley back into the fold. You know, it was a minute that he was out of Hollywood, you know, following a whole bunch of stuff. But come on.
That tax evasion stuff. But that's just neither here or there.
He got wrapped up with all that. Yeah. At least that movie brought him back in, you know.
Right. So I appreciate that. I will give it that. But come on, bro. All the other antics and all of that stuff was just way too over the top.
That's true. But here comes something. So you remember that Chet Hanks episode that we did, the White Boy Summer Jump?
Oh man, that's another one.
Man, but man, Pat say, look, man, you know, fuck telling everyone who's coming to the cookout. We need to stop this shit.
Yeah, I spazzed on that one. I think I spazzed on that.
I listened to that John part when we first came in. I listened to that John 4 times just to hear Pat say it so much and everything.
Yeah, man, that shit really irks me, man. Like, I definitely spazzed.
That was the first time seeing him get up. I was like, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that imaginary cookout shit it needs to stop, for real.
Right, exactly. And for the dumbest fucking reasons, bruh. The dumbest reasons. All of a sudden, like, a whole bunch of shit is forgotten because they put seasoned on the chicken this time or whatever the case. You'd be like, bruh, fuck that seasoning.
Right.
I would say this, you know, when I listened to that Paul Pierce, you know, like episode and whatnot, I'm not going to say I'm disappointed in myself, but I should have went more in on Paul Pierce because I feel like because I was just so pissed at him and whatnot, it just didn't make no sense. And I remember Nia made fun of me because I said, well, it was some of the situation about, you know, the whole my phone was hacked and like the naked pictures and whatnot. If you remember, I forgot what I said, but you listened what I said and it was like so funny. And when I keep playing back, I was like, man, I should have thrown Paul like down into. I should have just dug his own grave, to really be honest, because man, grown folks can do grown folks things, but like, I still don't know why everybody put it on like IG and whatnot. I don't know, but
I mean that's the thing to do. It's like whatever people do is just they just want to put it up on social media. Mm-hmm. You know, that's just the thing today. And it's like, for what? Like, I mean, like, bruh, like, why? Like, there's just certain shit that doesn't need to go on social media.
That's true.
Fact. Whole fact. People putting their whole life, like, you know, and I understand that people use social media for different reasons, right? It's a forum for promoting businesses, communicating with friends, and etc.
Right.
But at the exact same time, like the type of person that I am, you ain't about to see my whole life story on any one of my social media platforms.
Yeah, same here.
Bruh, that is not what I use it for.
Right. Yep. Same here. Social media is for business, entertainment, and that's it. You know,
that's about it.
Period. People giving their whole life story on their page. Like,
right.
Just write a book.
Right.
Make more money.
I don't know how people keep up with like, you know, posting like every like, you know, probably like 10 to 12 minutes about, you know, what your next move is. I was like,
yeah, I can't stand that shit either. It's like they're about to do X, Y, and Z, or they're at this place, they're checking in, and it's like, why do we need to know that you're at Walmart?
Exactly.
You know, like, why do we need to know that you're at Target or Home Depot? Like,
exactly. You ain't bringing me shit.
Right.
Right.
Or you know, you're at the drive-thru at Dunkin' Donuts. Like, who gives a fuck?
Unless you get ready to drop me off something, I don't give a fuck.
Right.
Man, oh man.
Yeah, people just be doing the most with social media, you know, all that personal shit. I mean, you know, people use it for different reasons, fine, but all that personal shit and posting pics of like, you know, family and vacations and all, it's just that, you know, that ain't for me, you know.
Feel you on that.
Yeah,
completely. And I think, you know, fellas, we've had so many organic and just awesome conversations, even when we, have decided to talk about one topic and then, it ends up going into another. And that's because for us, it's so organic and raw. You know what I mean?
I agree.
For those of our listeners out there who may not know our story, all three of us grew up in an area in Maryland, and we've known each other for a while. And we would go back and forth on each other's pages all the time on social media about these different subjects. And, people around us would be like, man, I just spent an hour reading y'all whole comment section, put this into a podcast. And that's how we came to be. So this authenticity between the three of us started out, with these social media posts, and that's how real it really is for us. So
yep. Very true.
That's what makes it dope.
From social media,
yeah. I mean, I tell everyone, y'all not gonna get anything better than this. Like, and it's not just because E-Man be saying wild shit and whatnot. PAT be out there selling y'all with some good information, and some really good thought, and also with Nine Angels too. I just spice everything up because y'all don't even know what I'm going to say and whatnot.
That is very true. That I can't honestly say. I never know what you're going to say.
Yeah. Right. It's like, all right, what are you going to say?
And I'm going to put it out here on the reminiscent. Like, well, before we even hit record and whatnot, nobody knows my thoughts or anything I've written down. So I don't even share anything with them before we get on the air. So when we get on the air, that's when they hear everything.
Real life reactions.
So these are all real life reactions. This ain't nothing.
Real time.
Yeah, this is not nothing planned at all. So everything that comes out of my mouth and everything, and the thought that I speak and the words that I put out here to all y'all listeners, it's actually true, and they don't know nothing about what's about to come out, and that's why
that authenticism is what is authenticism a word, or did I just make that up?
That's cool. We can make words.
Cool. Right? We can make it up. That's cool, but
right. This is good, the bad, the truth. We can make up whatever word we want.
Right.
If Factitis or Folix is now a new disease, we can make up words.
Factitis apparently is a legitimate defense, sir. Didn't you hear? Especially if you're of a certain pigment.
Right, yeah. Certain pigment and certain, I guess, political group or wing or whatever.
Yeah. Factitis is a word according to that. So, fuck it. If people going to be sitting around making up words, I'm going with authenticity.
We might as well too.
Right.
I mean, I do it all the time, like LeBrick James, too.
You're right.
LeBrick James. Yeah, I just saw a clip of him on IG not too long ago. I think he flopped and whatnot. I think over Chris Paul. I think after he shot a free throw, everybody said he was like being so overreacted. I'm like, well, of course. He's a big baby. What do you think big babies do? They cry. They need to be wiped. He needs to be burped. So that's what he did when he was on the ground. I'm not too sure if they won or lost because I ain't watched the game, but
Who we talking about?
Mr. LeBrick James, by the way. Mr. LeBrick
I had a feeling because I was like, okay, who's he talking about?
Again,
I was like, oh, he's gonna say LeBrick.
Oh no. Come on, sir. Again, let me just make this clear. LeBron.
So, so I always get these. I love seeing silly things from Mr. LeBrick because you make everything so magical on the court when you flop, man. I can't. I thought Dwayne was bad. I think this is what I think. When you played at Miami, I think you and Dwayne had a conversation, and it was like, "Yo, man, we need to start making our flops. We got to start selling them." Since he was in Miami, man, LeBrick, you've been doing an excellent job selling all your flops. Like that's the one credit I can give to you because, man, if flopping was a sport, man, you would be number one at it. Best believe that, and that's giving credit to you. So That's just
I really cannot believe you just said his flopping was a sport. First of all, you better put some respect on my dude's name, sir. We talking about King James, Mr. LeBron James,
Mr. LeBron
aka
James.
been killing the league for I don't even know how many years, sir. How about that?
Speaking of LeBron, that was actually a pretty good episode too that we did about
yes, it was
the restaurant owner who basically said that
the bar owner who thought anyone gave a damn enough to
that guy.
I'm not even going to entertain that.
But he wanted LeBron
this man
to
said, "I will not play any more NBA games, fellas. Not just Laker games, NBA games at all."
Right, he just said NBA games. Period. Yep.
like I said before, man. What you gonna be doing what you gonna be doing from November all the way down to between February and March, bro? You in trouble, man. Because if you, like I told him before, if you ain't got no basketball playing, baseball don't hit until like April. So what you got, bro? The NCAA tournament, it ain't gonna hold you down enough. But all NBA games, man. What did I say? Did I say something like, "Yo, his wife should like literally just slap him"? I remember saying something so foul. But
yeah, I said I think we all agreed that his wife need to take an L because I introduced that. I feel like that's a moment where you got to step up as wifey and be like, "Babe, you okay?"
Right? Yeah.
Love you, but you realize we not about to fuck up this business.
Right?
Yeah, give him that look. Give him that look.
You know that commercial where Joe Pesci is hungry and he not himself when he hungry. I would have hit my hubby like, "Baby, are you hungry? You want me to make you a sandwich?" Because it ain't no way we gonna stop playing all NBA games just because you don't like LeBron. Sit your ass down somewhere, bro.
Wow.
Well, he's definitely in his feelings about that.
Right.
Yeah. Y'all remember the episode? Sorry about that. But y'all remember the episode when that white dude and whatnot, when he was trying to he was trying to push that I think I'm not sure if he was a kid, but the joke about him walking on the sidewalk and whatnot.
Oh, down in South Carolina, I believe.
Yeah. Because I kept replaying it, and I love how I called him. What did I call him? I called him a chiseled chalupa. Was it chiseled chalupa?
Yeah.
I called him something.
Yeah, I remember. I think it was chiseled chalupa.
Yeah. And then, it was so fun. And let me see how funny it was. I remember saying that and whatnot, and then Naya was like, "Yo," and she stopped and whatnot. She was like, "You know what?" She was like, "Yo, what this term is? This is joning and whatnot." How she came right back afterwards when I said it, because I think at that point I was just joning on them because I was just like,
not chiseled chalupa though. Damn, bro.
Yeah, I remember you said
that. Like, you look like a damn chiseled chalupa, and then you start laughing.
Bruh, I cannot with you.
Because I was on for like 2 minutes on him because it bothered me a lot because I was like, yo.
Yeah, we've definitely had some very memorable moments. And again, all of this is, for the appreciation and the support of our listeners out there. We definitely try to make sure that we're bringing you content that is, important and relevant to our community. But not just that, also, we like to have those incredible moments of rawness and truth, where we let the conversation take us wherever it goes. And again, we appreciate y'all so much. We continue to appreciate that support.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Sure to subscribe, share, like, do all that.
Yes, please
do everything.
Please do. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button on YouTube. The Good, the Bad, the Truth podcast. We got your girl Naya Angel, my guy PAT, and the man himself, E-Man.
Yes. But before we head out, all right, E-Man has to give out a few shout outs because there's a lot of people out there that I love and that's been really helping me, not just for this podcast, but those out there who got a lot of love for E-Man. E-Man's about to have a quick shout out for everything before we head out. So I got a long list and whatnot, like a long list. I'm gonna try to go through everybody. If I miss you, let me know, and I'll get y'all the next time. But here we go. So first and foremost, I gotta give a shout out to my man A-Rock out here in the county. I gotta give out a shout out to my girl Kathy out there in Kansas. I also gotta give a shout out to my girl Bella out there in Texas. I gotta give a shout out for my 3 goddesses out there in Minnesota, Aisha, Tisha, and Jewel. I also gotta give a shout out to my girl Kimmy out there in PA. I also gotta give a shout out to my girl Carissa out there in Texas. I also gotta give a shout out to my girl Ann, Crystal, and my girl Layla out there in California. I also gotta give a shout out to my girl Michaela out here in Maryland. I want to give a shout out to my girl Shells out there in Georgia. I also want to give a big shout out to my homie and his wife, Calvin and Angela out there in Virginia. I also want to give a shout out to my 2 homies that I met, who really helped me out, during a hard time during this pandemic out there in Australia. Penny and Susan. All right. I want to give a good shout out to my girl Krista out there in Jacksonville, Florida. I want to give a good shout out to my man Rod out there in NY. I also want to give a good shout out to my man David out there in NY also too. And then I also want to give a shout out to my girl Carlita out there in California. And I want to give a special shout out to my goddess out there named Diamond, all the way from Chicago. You've been the world, and you have really helped me out, see a better self in me. And words can't even express anything right now. But I can tell you, like, you're amazing. No flat out lie. You are just so amazing. And then I gotta give a big shout out to my alkaline vegan community out there. I gotta give a good shout out to my mom, to Alkaline Mommy, who's a really good friend of mine. I also want to give a shout out to another good friend of mine, Alkaline Aquarius. And I also want to give a good shout out to my girl, Corinda, who has one of the best alkaline cookbooks out there, and she's amazing. All right. And then my last and final shout out, all right, is my girl Jessica out there in Texas. You guys have been amazing. You guys, everyone that's really helped me out, not just with my alkaline journey, but those who've been always good to email. I just want to say thank you, and I really appreciate all y'all. All right, we out.
Yes, y'all. Let's talk about fellas. Mr. Kwame Brown.
Oh boy.
So for those of you out in the listening world who are not very familiar with Kwame Brown, he is an NBA player for a long time. A lot of folks thought that he was basically going to be the next Michael Jordan. He was drafted right out of high school, so did not play college ball. He was drafted by MJ to the Wizards, and just recently he is back in mainstream media news because bruh has been going hard at a few different critics for a few different reasons. It's a lot going on right now, but I'm just going to go ahead and give y'all a high level overview of what started it, and then we can jump in and speak on what's going on. So I am referencing an article that's from SB Nation. And of course, we will always, share our content sources and etc. But we also encourage you to, look things up for yourself if you like. So, Kwame Brown, and this article is from May 19th. Again, for a lot of people, he kind of fell short of what people's expectations of what he was going to be are. I think just because there was so much hype around him. But the article reads like this, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'll give you a little bit of, how this all came up recently. So article says it all kicked off because of a podcast. The All the Smoke podcast is a long-running show hosted by former NBA players Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. Last week, Gilbert Arenas was on the show as a guest, and he began sharing stories from his time as the star of the Wizards in the early 2000s. So Brown's name came up during a section discussing how Arenas helped turn the woeful early 2000 Washington Wizards into a contender. And then the article reads on to say, now, to be fair, Arenas began by seeming extremely sympathetic to Brown's entry in the NBA, highlighting how difficult it was to be entering the league as a teenager, being drafted by Michael Jordan, who had unrealistic demands of Brown as a rookie, and even bullying him in front of teammates, and pointing out that Brown had the tools to be great, even comparing him to Anthony Davis, but circumstance got in the way. So this was all the stuff that Gilbert Arenas was saying. However, in making his point, and this is directly from the article as well, however, in making his point, Arenas used two phrases that served as a flashpoint for this beef. He called Brown a man-child as well as a show pony. So I'm not even going to continue with reading the rest. And if you don't mind, fellas, I'm gonna go ahead and start this one off for us. Because, you know, I can't say that I can't say that I understand what it means to be a man from certain perspectives, right? Obviously, as a woman, I cannot say that. But if I'm a grown ass man and you come out your mouth and call me a man child dog or a show pony, I'm gonna have a few words for you as well. Right? Because I get it. And we talked about this before when we were talking about Kevin Durant, right? And the whole thing that came up with Kevin Durant earlier this year and Michael Rappaport and etc. And my stance on it was, while I felt like Michael Rappaport was out of place for sharing the content between him and Kevin Durant, I also feel like Kevin took things a little too personally. And the same could be true for Kwame Brown. It does appear that he took things a little personally, but at the same time, dog, it's a difference between saying, you know, I just didn't, you know, care for him, or we didn't really have a connection on the team, or etc. Especially coming from one of your former teammates, who knows, Kwame might have had a certain level of respect for Gilbert. To be called a man-child by homie, I can at least relate or at least understand how his frustrations may have came to be. So if you look at it from the perspective of, all right, I'm not, you know what I'm saying, in the media at the time. My name is not even really, when you think about it, he was on the show not to specifically discuss Kwame Brown, but to discuss his time as a Wizard. And then here you go taking the opportunity, referring to Gilbert Arenas, here you go taking the opportunity to put me down for what seems like no apparent reason. Yeah, I can understand where Kwame was coming from with his initial beef with Gil. Now, do I know or necessarily agree as to how that transpired to, going on a full-on rant against Barnes and Jackson? No, because they're the host of the podcast. It was not they who made the comments. I'm not saying that they didn't make any comments that he couldn't have found offensive. That is highly possible. But at the same time, it's like, some of these, and obviously with us being hosts of podcasts, we know we're not going to please everyone all the time, right? Our opinions are not going to always be like what everyone agrees on. So, we are careful with our words, but to a certain extent. I think there was some opportunity here for Kwame to realize that the two co-hosts, to a certain extent, are not to be held liable for what Gilbert Arenas said. That is my only issue. Do I have an issue with him responding in general to what started this overall beef and media sensation and all that? No, the man is a human being. To expect that human beings are not going to have feelings and not going to react to certain things is absolutely unrealistic. I took the same stance with Kevin Durant. I don't mind that Kevin Durant got upset about it, but I think there comes a time where you have to step back and say, all right, how much am I going to really allow this to take me out of my space and my comfort zone? And, so for that reason, I have mixed feelings on this. Another major aspect of this is the Charlamagne the God angle. So as you all know, who do know him, of course, Charlamagne the God is a radio host on the show The Breakfast Club.
And a hoe.
Him, Angela Yee. Oh my gosh, here you go, sir. Not all of us are Charlamagne the God fans here in the good, the bad, the truth, as you obviously just heard. But he's a radio host out of New York. He has his show with Angela Yee and his other co-host DJ Envy. And Charlamagne is not known for being a shy fellow. He just isn't, right? He tends to really go in once he has a certain opinion about things. And apparently at some point during this whole incident, Charlamagne gave his thoughts on the situation and included some information that was traumatizing for Kwame Brown's family. Apparently, and I can't speak to exactly what those comments were because I did not see the original video, but apparently Kwame Brown and Charlamagne the God are from the same area in South Carolina. And so when Kwame Brown's family got wind of the comments that Charlamagne made, a few of them reached out to him. And apparently after speaking to those family members, Charlamagne decided that his initial comments on the matter regarding Kwame Brown's family and the traumatic, some of the traumatic things that they lived through, he owed Kwame Brown and his family an apology. So I did watch the apology video, and I have to say, even though I do not always agree with Charlamagne, I do feel like he is true to saying, hey, I didn't approach this shit the right way. Let me go and, address this. This is, to me, based on that video that I saw and he gave himself donkey of the day. He didn't just apologize on the podcast. He also gave himself donkey of the day. And I think he even said that wasn't his first time giving himself donkey of the day, but he did the whole thing, dropped the clues bomb on himself, gave himself donkey of the day the way he would anyone else. And I had a level of respect for Charlamagne the God in that moment because, I think one of the things that we don't realize as a community is that, there are some of us who are willing to immediately go for the jugular, right? We get into, these different situations and et cetera. And instead of trying to talk through, the elements that really need to be discussed and worked out and et cetera, and taking the time to be sympathetic to each other, we get into this defense mode where we say, all right, what's your most sensitive area? That's what I'm going to attack. The fact that Charlamagne recognized that and apologized to Kwame Brown and his family for that, in my opinion, is real big of him. So just that quick side note on this subject, Charlamagne the God, I recognize that, you know what I'm saying? And I think that was big of you to do that. Kwame, I definitely can understand where you're coming from as far as having a response to, all of the things that have been said. I would say that, a part of living a life of fame is having to deal with very public opinions. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, that's with the good and the bad. right? So I just hope Kwame and his family is at peace, and that, I'm not going to say it's not entertaining, the whole thing, right? But I do love to see when we as a people take the time and the opportunity to uplift each other just as much as we would take the time to, tear each other down. We need to do more of the uplifting, less of the tearing down. So
I am thankful.
My thoughts on
it. So I'm very thankful, and I'm sorry to cut you off. I know
you're good. I'm actually good.
But first and foremost, I'm thankful for Charlamagne apologizing, because you're not going to disrespect my homie and whatnot. Kwame Brown, you are the homie. Just like Kevin Samuels, you my homie. Joe Budden, you my homie too, and everything like that. So like I said, y'all three, don't worry. E-Man got y'all back and whatnot. Even if it's bad, I'm going to still support y'all no matter what. And I'm going to make sure y'all get out your dirt, because E-Man got y'all. Just letting it know out there, all right? Just letting y'all know. So, man, Charlamagne got Donkey of the Day. Oh, man, that just started my day. Whew, man.
I got to watch that one.
Man, I need to go watch that so I can watch it like 4 times and laugh and be like, ha, little nigga.
Oh, my gosh.
That was big of him, though. I think that was
it was
very big of him to do that, because him, basically going in on Kwame Brown's family like that, and just unintentionally causing that trauma. I think it was just big of him to realize that and take a step back and say, you know what, man, I was out of pocket. I was out of pocket for that, and I'm gonna apologize. I'm gonna be the big man, and I'm gonna apologize.
Right.
So I think that was a good look for Charlamagne, definitely.
Oh, yeah, he was definitely out of pocket. He probably couldn't fit in the pocket that he got in his pants, though. But that's just me.
Oh my God.
That's just me. I need to stop joking right now. But yeah.
So, E-Man, we're gonna go ahead and throw it officially to you. What say you on this whole Kwame Brown?
So first and foremost, and I'm gonna actually put an apology out here. So, first and foremost, I'm just apologizing for Kwame Brown, because when I used to watch, and I'm a big Wizards fan, I was one of those guys, that was always hard, like, why Kwame can't do this, why Kwame can't do that, and now you're 34, remember, because for me, when Kwame was playing, we talking about early 2000s, so, I was in high school, I'm almost as a kid as you, but, I just want to give you that apology, because, when you're a teen and, you want your team to win, and you want to do all that crazy stuff, and be like, yelling at the TV and doing all that stuff like that, but not seeing that these people are people, I apologize for that, for downplaying, your NBA career, that I'm definitely going to apologize for, because, you didn't deserve everything that you deserved while you were playing in the league. And a lot of people just really disrespected you for no reason, just didn't know that you were a kid around adults and everything. That's what people tend to forget, that he was I think he just literally came out. I think he was like 18, 19, you playing around grown men,
Yeah, he came straight out of high school.
Straight out of high school. You were 18-year-old
Michael
kid.
Jordan.
Yeah. Michael Jordan at the time was in his mid-30s and whatnot. I think mid-30s. Mid-30s and whatnot. Grown men. So Kwame Brown was in the NBA where, his players, they can drink, they can smoke, they can go party. You know what I'm saying? They have different obligations. This is a kid coming in around grown folks and whatnot. He's an adult, but he's around grown folks, like grown men and whatnot. And when we was kids, right? You know how they say, you kids need to stay out of grown folks' business. I feel like it was one of those situations right here. And they did things to a kid who wasn't around that type of environment. Depending on if it was toxic, not, because I believe, sports around that time was pretty toxic, because there was a lot of things going on that, that they allowed, but they never talked about, Why do you think right now the NFL is talking so much about concussions and whatnot? Because a lot of people made mistakes back in the early 70s, 80s, and 90s, letting players play with concussions, you know, you know. We watched basketball back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, where they were balling, grown men, not too many. There wasn't many high school players, coming out, during that time until Kobe Bryant hit the scene and whatnot in 96, and that's what kind of changed the game a little bit. But when you have because at that moment he's a child, he's like 18, because he can't drink, he can't smoke, he's mostly playing basketball. He's trying to work with grown men as him being a young adult, So I support Kwame Brown, everything he has said and whatnot. And many people don't know this and whatnot, that Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes played on Golden State together. So they've been teams, so they know each other and whatnot, I don't know how Gilbert knows them, but I think because the simple fact is they were on LA Basketball Wives and I think that's how they met and whatnot. So that's how they know each other. But Gilbert, man, that was so disrespectful what you said, man. Because even when you were in the league, you were a grown man and whatnot. So you can't say something to somebody who's 18 being around grown folks who don't want him to be around. But then you guys want him as your teammate, and you think you gonna toughen them up and whatnot, getting grown 30-year-old men beating on an 18-year-old on the basketball court and think it's gonna work for him. It's not and whatnot. So he had to man up and deal with a whole lot of shit, being as an 18-year-old kid playing in one of the biggest stages of them all, that's very lucky, because there's not many high school players that, had a chance to play basketball. There's not many of them, especially in the minor. There's not many and whatnot. And many people don't know LeBron James was actually the last one out of the minor era and whatnot. The brick, I'm sorry, I was just in my moment. But continuing on and whatnot, but y'all should be ashamed of yourselves to even go on that Kwame Brown for, because I know all y'all went to college and whatnot, and I know y'all got sense. But if it's because you got to push a podcast and whatnot, to push someone's button to keep everything moving, if that's how y'all feel like y'all got to play that game, But I'm glad Kwame Brown stepped up, did it correct, and went at all y'all. And you know what's so funny about y'all? Kwame killed all y'all, and y'all can't stay shit at all. That's how I'm loving it. And Kwame Brown, you are my new homie, man. I got you, homie. I got you, no matter what, man. Because people who always trying to say stuff and think they tough, always go in their corner. And my man Kwame Brown put them all in their corner, So I just can't believe, like, man, you got children, man. You got children, Be better than this, man. That's the one thing. Be better than this, I know the podcast, is dudes, dudes, it's guy talking and whatnot. I get it, But come on, man. How you gonna throw a man under the bus for no reason, Because you felt when you guys played over there, he didn't do his part and whatnot, You gotta see what the environment he came from and whatnot. And then you gotta help change him to make him a better teammate so y'all can actually do the damn thing and whatnot, And I'm thinking that's the reason why, Kwame Brown got traded. But, in all in 4 cents and whatnot, I mean, I don't want to disrespect Michael Jordan, but like, I feel like when Mike got older and whatnot, like his mindset wasn't in the right place. I feel like he had a lot going on and whatnot. Because, you can't say you want to draft this kid, but then you want to trade him. You don't want to trade, what's his name? I forget the damn dude's name. Elton, what's his name? Elton Brand and whatnot. I apologize. But yeah, to trade him. And then I think Elton Brand also, he did an interview and cleared it up and everything like that. You see how you putting people in different situations for no apparent reason. And I feel like this is what it is and whatnot. Because I feel like all this stuff was for clout, to really be honest, though, like to really be honest. Because I tell people, ask yourself this, right? You got literally basketball players who are multimillionaires or whatnot. They got, and Steven Jackson, Matt Barnes, got their podcast and whatnot, They get Gilbert to come on the show You talk about his time at the Wizards and whatnot. But out of a lot of people, Kwame Brown name came up and whatnot, you know? Yeah. Can we even come up the simple fact about when Larry Hughes played for the Wizards? You know? I mean, I can name a lot of names. Popeye Jones, I can take it down to the list, you know? What about Antoine Jameson and whatnot? You know? What about Jerry Stackhouse? Because I heard a lot of people, you know, had issues with Gilbert Arenas and whatnot, you know? Like a whole lot. You know, and I'm not trying to down them towards, you know, what I heard from the media and other, you know, hearsay and whatnot, but you know, you can't be calling some man a man child, you know what I'm saying? And what was the other word? What was the other word he said? I forget. What was the other word he said?
He said show pony.
He called him a man child and hold on, let me go direct.
I think he said show pony. I think
he called him a show
pony. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Gilbert, if that's what you're doing right now, so this is what I'm going to do now. You know, so Gilbert, you were a fool for bringing guns into I mean, at that time it was the MCI Center and whatnot. You're a fool bringing weapons in, you know, in a place that they never need to be at. So for you, that's you being a dumbass and whatnot. You know, so but I feel like the only show pony that I know and whatnot, is you, Gilbert, man, because you messed up something good that you could have helped the Wizards win a championship. You know, you fucked up, man, and whatnot. You fucked up, But I feel like you wanted to use this to, throw somebody under the bus. But I'm glad Kwame got your ass and whatnot. I really do, But damn it, we need to do better, We definitely need to do better. That's all. I'm just leaving it at that. We just need to do better. But I would say this, Gilbert, and I'm not over here trying to, I'm not here firing shots and anything like that, man. But I'm still a Wizards fan, and I used to look up to you, and I was like, yo, man, you doing the damn thing on the court and whatnot. But when you fucked up in that situation, you can't talk about that, about somebody else's situation, which even wasn't that really serious of a, situation, At that time, Gilbert, man, you an adult, so you know what I'm saying? Not just what was right and wrong. You knew how to make better decisions, This is a kid coming out of high school, he probably not hanging out with his friends anymore, His whole life changed and whatnot, walking into the NBA, Whole thing. Not just for his family, but like the whole thing. So his routine is different and whatnot. See, when you're in college, they teach you this stuff before you even get into the NBA. Kwame Brown is just like, oh, well, I graduated, boom, I'm in the NBA. Totally different like scenario. So I tell everybody, man, respect Kwame Brown for his 12 years in the league and everything. And I'm gonna just leave it as that.
Understood, sir. I definitely can agree with a fair portion of that. I mean, the dynamic of coming directly out of high school into a league with all of these grown-ass men, and you definitely touched on some important dynamics, like not even being able to go out and drink with his teammates and shit. Like, that's definitely some real stuff that I agree with there. So thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing. We're going to throw this. Oh, no problem. We're going to throw this to Mr. PAT to wrap us up. What say you, sir?
Yeah, I'll definitely wrap it up. I mean, there's not too much I can add. I mean, the both of you already, especially you, Naya, you framed it all. You did. You pretty much broke it down from top to bottom.
I think what's
been going on.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, on that end, there's nothing much that I could really add. All I could do is just give, I guess, my take on it. And I just think that this is all interesting because even though I'm considered to be, I guess, not a big sports fan, quote unquote, there were periods and times where I would follow, believe it or not. And I remember in the early 2000s when Kwame Brown was drafted. I remember it was 2001. I was in high school at the time. I was a junior in high school, and I remember hearing his name. I remember seeing him, and I remember all the talk surrounding him, and I just remember people talking shit about him. I mean, unfortunately, You know, they were talking about how much of a bum he was and all this other shit. And, you know, back then, this was back then. And I'm talking like, even like around 2002, 2003, you know, I'm hearing people basically say that, you know, he's a bum, you know, pretty much. So I remember all the talk in the Matrix about him. And now we fast forward 20 years later. I find it interesting that he's basically, I mean, not even basically, he's responding. He's responding to all. It's like, I think he's responding to all of the we could say whether we want to call it hate or trash talk or just his name just being thrown in the dirt for so long. And we also have to look at the fact that he's been in the NBA for 12 years, which, come on, that's not something to sneeze at. I mean, how many people can say they've been in the league that long, you know? And he came in, as you've all stated, at a young age. He came in when he was 18. You know, it was an 18-year-old kid, you know, fresh out of high school. So you can only imagine how much pressure he was under. Like, he was under intense pressure. I mean, anybody coming into the NBA, any sports league, really, any professional sports league is going to deal with a fucking mountain of pressure just on their shoulders, just straight, just weighing them down. But an 18-year-old kid coming straight out of high school, that has to be pressure on just a whole new level. You know, like, I mean, I can't even, I don't think most of us can't imagine. Most people can't imagine. Like, a lot of people wouldn't be able to walk in those shoes. You know, agree. A lot of people, and I mean, the thing is, a lot of people would fold, honestly. You know, all the people out there in the stands, and you know,
say that again.
Yeah, you know, who basically will never get a shot at being in the NBA, who weren't good enough to make the cut or whatever. Maybe they tried and they just failed. I mean, a lot of those people would fold if they were in that position. You know, I see him as somebody who's, you know, he's a man of strength. Like, just, you know.
I won't cut you off, PAT, but I had this really weird epiphany. So, like, this is how I'm seeing, like, you know, the whole Kwame Brown situation when he was 18. So, like, Kwame went from, like, you know, being in high school, smoking weed, talking about girls they can have sex with in high school, then going to the NBA, being around, you know, older men that basically can just drink and do what the fuck they want to do and whatnot, you know?
Right.
You know,
right,
that's just how I just saw it while you was just talking. But I'm gonna let you continue.
I mean, yeah, like you said, it's he's around all these grown ass men who can do whatever the fuck they want to do. You know, once the game's over, or, you know, even before the game, you know, or after, whichever, you know, it's like they could just go do their thing and really live their, like, live, you know. And he wasn't at the age where he can do that. And then you also have to look at the fact that he was on a team with Michael Jordan. I mean, like, that right there, that's added pressure right there. I mean, it's one thing to get into the league, to get into the NBA, but then to get on the same team as Michael Jordan.
But was he on the team with Michael, or was he just drafted to the team by Michael?
Both, actually.
I want to say both. It's both.
Oh,
because
it was both?
because Mike had a spot up into the he had some type of position also in the
I remember he played for the Wizards at one point.
But he also had a position in the front office also too. It was like a little deal they set up and whatnot. It's something like how the deal with, like, Kobe Bryant was. So Kobe Bryant, when he played for the Lakers, because he played there so many years, you know, he didn't have a position in the front office, but he had input on players and whatnot towards who they wanted in, who they wanted traded. He even told people to even revoke clauses and whatnot. Like, that's the type of mentality that he had and whatnot. But Jordan actually had, like, a spot in the front office and whatnot. So it was like a little deal and whatnot. It was something different, I think, at the time for basketball. But yeah, he definitely, drafted, Kwame Brown and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah, no, I knew he drafted him. I just didn't know that he ever played at the same time he drafted him.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
If I remember correctly, I think he did. If I'm remembering correctly.
Okay, yeah, no, you definitely might be. I'm legitimately asking because
no. They played.
All good.
Because I think I remember the lineup. Because I think Kwame, was that the time that Rip Hamilton was on the team?
I believe so. I believe so.
I remember Rip was on that team.
Yeah.
I believe Rip was on that team. I know Popeye Jones was on that team. Kwame was on there and whatnot. So yeah, I get that. I mean, you can keep it, and I can probably pull up the roster right now for the 2001 Washington Wizards team.
Yeah. If you want to.
Oh, no worries. No worries. I was just legitimately wondering because I didn't never know that part. That was very interesting to me. I thought I heard that like he was like running like certain stuff, but I didn't realize that he was also actually playing at that time, which is, I totally agree with the both of you on that dynamic. It's one thing to be a high school player drafted by Jordan. You got to play with Jordan too. That's a whole nother level of respect.
I actually got the roster right here. And the roster there's a lot of names that I also forgot. You got Chris Whitney, Jahai White, Eaton Thomas, Bobby Simmons, Tyrone Nesby and everything, Tyronn Lue, Christian Legler, Michael Jordan, Popeye Jones, Brendan Haywood, Richard Hamilton, your Ripples on that team, Hubert Davis, Kwame Brown, and Courtney Alexander. That was the whole squad.
I learned something new today.
Right. So
cool.
Yeah, so that goes into my point of, I mean, you're on the same team as Michael Jordan, like you were drafted by Jordan. So, like I said before, that is just added pressure to even getting into the NBA.
To play against Jordan is a lot of pressure.
And here comes the interesting part about this. So, Kwame Brown, Brendan Haywood, Bobby Simmons, and Eaton Thomas were all rookies that year for the 2001 season and whatnot. But here comes the thing, all right? Thomas, he was born 78. Simmons was born 1980, which is 2 years older than Kwame Brown and whatnot. So he was 20. And Brandon Haywood, he was born 79. So majority of everyone on the team was literally, there was only one 20-year-old. Everyone was over 21 and whatnot. And Kwame Brown was the only 18-year-old at that time,
Right. So, young dudes on there. But yeah, definitely Kwame Brown's the youngest. So, of course, we touched on the immense amount of pressure, just his age. And I mean, when you're 18, even though they say 18, you're legally an adult, which, all right, fine. You're still a child. Like, because I remember when I was 18, like, I'm just like, I didn't know shit back then. Like, it's like, you don't know a damn thing about life. You haven't,
That's true.
And you haven't had any life experience.
Very good point.
So like you're like, you're just green. Like, you're just really
basically
green. It's just like you're new to everything pretty much. You're new to the real world.
That's true.
That's a lot. That is a lot. And like, I just feel where he's coming from right now. And it's funny because like throughout the years, of course people would talk shit about him and it just wasn't really a response from him. So I never even really heard him talk until now. I'm like, this is how he talks. Like, I'm like, damn, he's going off. Like,
right.
Like, with that country voice too. You got that country. You got that good hard country accent.
Yeah, because he's from South Carolina.
So I'm like, man, I fuck with this nigga right here, man. He's just going off.
Kwame Brown, you are officially the homie, man. Officially.
I definitely appreciate him standing up for himself because I think. That, you know what I'm saying? The aspect of it that these people aren't human beings who are going to experience stuff, that's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. And then the thing is too, like, imagine how much he's held back for so long.
That's true.
Like, and I know how that feels. It's like people just keep, coming at you and just talking all this shit, and like you don't really respond. It's like after a while, you're gonna snap. Like, and I think any human being, after a while, it's like there's only but so much, a human being can take. And he's at his limit, and it's just kind of like, all right, enough is enough. Like, he's a grown ass man now, so he's gonna come at, he's gonna come at it differently. He's not just gonna sit quietly and just, let niggas talk all this shit about him.
That's actually true. But it's so crazy that I'm not too sure if you guys know, but Kwame Brown did play with Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan.
Oh, really? That is so.
I did hear about him playing with Kobe.
He actually, I think, after a few years, they traded him to the Lakers and whatnot, and I believe he ended his career with the Lakers, by the way. But yeah, he did play with both of them.
That's pretty dope. Mm-hmm. That's very dope. There's not very many people that can say that.
There's nobody. There's not many who can say that, because at that time, those who were part of the Wizards team, Jordan was basically at his end. When he finally retired, it didn't really help the team at all. But the one thing that I wouldn't say made me, mad or anything, but I didn't see, Michael Jordan put a big push on Rip Hamilton at all, at all, and I respect Rip Hamilton. Even if Rip was listening, man, you are a dope dude whatsoever, and I'm still mad to this day from the Wizards trading you. I don't care. I'm still mad because we got Jerry Stackhouse out of there, and Jerry Stackhouse, he was on his end tail and whatnot. But there's no disrespect to Jerry Stackhouse, but they traded a very, very young player that was doing the damn thing, and because of that, Detroit won a championship. Mm-hmm. I'm not mad at Detroit, but damn, man, the Wizards fucked up and traded my best favorite player in the world, man. I'm just saying.
But that happens to be a DC team thing. Not to go off topic here, but remember the whole Redskins trade Brad Johnson. Next year, Brad Johnson goes to Tampa Bay, wins the Super Bowl.
Man.
That's a DC team thing.
I remember when people told me that, I was like,
that's why I'm not a Redskins fan. Year,
y'all see why I'm a Wizards fan. And I told everyone, I still had the same thing. I told everyone the Wizards and the Caps will get a championship before the Washington Redskins. And like I said, the Wizards are going to win that championship before the Skins. I am not changing anything at all, no matter what. So, and I'm not a Redskins fan. And there's the main reason why I'm not a Redskins fan and everything. It just goes about, the owner just needs to fire himself. But that's a whole nother story. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, just to wrap it up, because I know we got to get to the next thing. So with this whole Kwame Brown thing, it's like I'm a fan. I like him. I like the way he's been, responding to everybody that's been talking about him. Basically enough is enough. Then that's where he's at. And like I said before, it's just interesting because I see this as a snowball effect. It's just, or a domino effect, however you want to look at it. It's like everything just kind of just rolled into one big explosion, and basically he's on some enough is enough type shit right now. And he's a grown man. We're all grown folks here. At some point, people aren't going to put up with your bullshit. When you come at people a certain way, just be prepared for the response.
Exactly. Don't poke the bear and then be shocked when you get mauled.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you poke the bear, you're gonna get mauled. And speaking of, since we want to talk about animals, like that's how I look at Kwame Brown. I'm looking at him like, he's been a sleeping lion this whole time. It's like, niggas is poking the lion and the lion's like, all right, y'all keep fucking with me. I mean, all right. And they keep poking that lion. Now that lion, or if we want to say it's a bear, it's gonna maul you. It's like that's just where it's at right now. So yeah, I'm definitely a fan. I like the fact that he's defending himself. That's what I like. I'm loving it. You know, it's great entertainment, but obviously all this is in the low vibrational stuff, you know, the back and forth, you know, because
exactly.
you know, it's still black men and we have some black women included going at each other, and it's just like for the most part, it's just not a good look, you know. But yeah, you know, humanity, you know, it's just one of those things. It's just part, you know, one of the dysfunctions within the black community, unfortunately. But
absolutely, you know, right on that part as well, sir.
Yeah,
that's definitely, I definitely agree with you there. That's what I was speaking to earlier when I was like, you know, it's big of Charlamagne to apologize and give himself donkey of the day, because as he so rightfully mentioned in that same video, you know, we spend a lot of black people, spend a lot of time as black people tearing each other down when we get into these situations and incidents.
I agree. Yep.
And we need to spend more time uplifting each other and recognizing that there was another way to approach it. So definitely great points made by both of you fellas.
I hope that double check ain't that, you know, I'm hoping that double check ain't got y'all losing your minds. I'm just saying, you know, because I think Joe Budden also went on, like, you know, Charlamagne about that same situation, because he was trying to throw him under the bus because, you know, Joey, you know, he got his own podcast and he supports, you know, he makes, you know, his money and everything that, you know, pushes back that he does this on his own and whatnot, you know, and then going back at Charlamagne, because, you know, you work at somebody who, you know, who pays you to do a job. I actually create the opportunity for me to pay myself to do this, you know. So that I'm glad Kwame Brown put Charlamagne in his place, because I think he needed to be in this place, but that's
I'm not sure if Kwame Brown actually replied to Charlamagne.
He didn't
specifically, but Charlamagne. Oh, okay. And I know that Charlamagne. I mean, Kwame Brown's family did, and I also think it was even big of Charlamagne to even take the calls from them. I mean, when you stop and look at everything he did, he really stopped and reflected on his actions. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't didn't feel like a superficial apology. It didn't, not to me. It didn't feel like a superficial apology. It felt like someone recognizing, like, damn, I caused some hurt in some other black people and I'm trying to fix that. So that's what I appreciated about that.
So
I'm glad you got put in this place. That's all I'm saying.
Oh my gosh.
Well, Kwame put a lot of people in their place.
He put a lot of people in their place.
Did. That he definitely did.
So like I said about the whole Ben Affleck, so Charlamagne, I ain't got no beef with you, man. I ain't got no beef. I really don't. But if you want some beef, let me call my man Kwame Brown. He'll probably take care of it for me.
Lord have mercy.
So that's all I'm saying.
Have mercy. Let's
but yeah, I ain't got no beef with you,
Charlamagne. We reincite this whole war.
I'm just saying. But yeah.
Oh man. So good stuff, fellas. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. So moving on to the next subject, and it's definitely also a relevant one all over social media and everything. And it is the beef between Mr. Kevin Samuels and Dr. Umar Johnson. So for those of you who don't know who either one of these people are, what are you doing? That's the first question. How do you not know who Umar Johnson or Kevin Samuels are? But just so you know, Dr. Umar Johnson is a clinical psychology and certified school psychologist. And, he definitely is someone who is known to speak out on a lot of the prevalent stories in the Black community. Kevin Samuels is a glorified relationship guru. He has recently became very famous for, speaking directly to Black women about a lot of the issues that he feel like are prevalent within the Black community, specifically with Black women. So there is a beef between the two of them, with Umar Johnson's Johnson's position being that Kevin is just out to tear Black women down. He's not, actually taking the opportunity to uplift them. He's just criticizing. And Kevin Samuels' position is, I'm Kevin Samuels. I'm not going to sugarcoat shit. I'm going to tell you how it is, and you can do with it what you like. And it's not, necessarily about tearing down, but he's just going to, say what he needs to say. This is definitely one that has a lot of moving parts, so we can't possibly go over all of it. If you have not had the opportunity to look up information on both of these gentlemen, I would definitely say that, couldn't hurt to look into, both of them. We're definitely going to go ahead and throw this to Mr. PAT to start us off on this subject. Mr. Pat, what say you, sir?
All right, so yeah, this right here is very interesting to me because I actually like both Dr. Umar Johnson and Kevin Samuels, and I don't
like Umar, but that's just me.
I will say that beef. I'm gonna just say it with air quotes because if you ask one of them, they'll probably be like, yeah, it ain't really a beef, whatever. And which I think Kevin Samuels did say, hey, I ain't got no problem with you, Umar. And
after mocking him.
Right, exactly. After mocking him.
And I love it too, though.
Yeah, so like I said before, I like Dr. Umar Johnson, and I like Dr. Umar Johnson for his Black advocacy. The same way I like the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for his Black advocacy.
Oh, that hoe.
I also like Kevin Samuels, and I like Kevin Samuels for the content that he has been putting out. I know he's tagged as a relationship expert or guru, and I guess he's an image consultant as well, or he's all of the above. I won't get too much into whether people agree or disagree with the relationship expert label, but what I will say is that the advice that he gives women, Black women in particular, is rooted in logic and common sense. And yes, he does have a no-nonsense approach, and he doesn't cater to his female guests' feelings and emotions. He's the type of dude who just tells them the truth, the brutal, honest truth about themselves and their situation in life and why they are still single. Now, I know that his tone or his delivery has been a turnoff for a lot of people. If this is the case, then my question would be, why would Black women still continue to call up his show for advice? I really
already know the answer to it.
That's really a question that I have because, a lot of people talk about his tone and his delivery, but it's, the thing is people keep calling him up. So, but
I actually agree with that question, even though I don't like Kevin Samuels at all. I actually agree with
have
the
the answer for it.
It's just,
I have the answer for it. It's not.
I know why they do call up his show. And Dr. Umar said it best in his response to Kevin Samuels and the Black Manosphere, because I know Umar had sent some shots towards the Black Manosphere. That he basically said that there are Black women out there who are seeking validation, and they seek that validation by subjecting themselves to being scolded and berated by Black men. Now that I agree with. I agree that this is like a way of seeking some type of validation. That I think that's the reason why some of these women will call up. Because they want that Black male validation.
There is a part to it, yes, but it doesn't have to be about this whole belittling thing and whatnot.
Right.
But that's the thing why I don't like Umar Johnson for. I'm gonna let you finish on PAT, but I just want to say, like, that's the main reason why I don't like him for,
Yeah, we'll definitely get to why you don't like him, because I'm actually interested in hearing more, I guess, about why you don't like him. But yeah, I'll
sure.
just go ahead and you know, speak my piece real quick. But so yeah, so basically, you know, some of the Black women that call up, like I said before, it's a way of seeking validation, and you know, they're speaking to Black men who have built a brand off of criticizing Black women. Now, I actually listen to the content produced by some of the people in the Black Manosphere. And when we say the Black Manosphere, we're basically talking about a group of Black men, you know, whether you want to call them a crew or a group or, you know, or whatever, a collective. I think collective might probably be a better term. They're very critical of Black women. And I agree with some of their content, and I disagree with some of their content. You know, of course, there's some truth, and then there are some broad generalizations that are in there. So I see both sides, and I do think overall that some of those criticisms are valid. However, I personally don't like the whole gender war thing between Black men and Black women. And if it were me,
it's all about division.
And I don't like that. And like the thing is, if it were me, I wouldn't build a brand off of constantly criticizing one gender or over the other. Like that, I mean, and I'm building a brand right now. I have a brand. We all have a brand. But the thing is, I'm not gonna sit here and spend most of my time creating content to criticize, you know, Black women. That's just not me. Like, I'm not going to do it, and I'm not going to do it to Black men either.
That makes a whole lot of sense.
You know, so that's just not me. And the thing with me is I typically hold both Black men and Black women accountable. You know, I'm not a panderer. I'm not going to pander to one group or the other.
Exactly.
But the Black man and the Black woman have their faults, and accountability needs to go on both sides. That's just my view of things. And
absolutely agree.
Yeah. And I've seen Dr. Umar hold both the Black man and the Black woman accountable. However, I can see where some people would say he panders a bit more to Black women. Now, on some level, I can agree with that. But I would say at least he's not like a Derek Jackson, someone who has built a career off of pandering to Black women.
Like, he's basically the opposite Kevin Samuels.
Right. He's like on the opposite spectrum. But the thing with Derek Jackson is he was pandering to Black women and selling them on lies. You know, so that was like the whole other end of the spectrum. So I think Dr. Umar, he panders a bit more to Black women, but he's not to that extreme like a Derek Jackson, for example. Now, in terms of the beef, the quote unquote beef between Dr. Umar and Kevin Samuels, to my knowledge, it stemmed from Kevin Samuels taking some shots at Dr. Umar on his show. And one of Kevin Samuels' callers told Kevin Samuels that he should speak to Black women the way Dr. Umar does. I guess Mr. Samuels got annoyed by that. And so he pointed out the fact that Dr. Umar has 2 baby mothers that he never married, and mentioned that Dr. Umar's school hasn't been built yet. He said those things, among other things. Now, Dr. Umar responds back in one video, a video where he actually doesn't mention Kevin Samuels by name. But this same video is where Dr. Umar talks about a group of beta male YouTubians. That's his exact words. He talks about a group of beta male YouTubians who slander and criticize Black women. He also
man-child would say.
He also threw a shot at Kevin Samuels' intellect in another video by basically saying something along the lines of trying not to respond to individuals whose intellectual competence he considers far below his own. he said this, among other things, in an interview he had with Mark Lamont Hill. Now, what I find interesting about this quote unquote beef is that both Dr. Umar Johnson and Kevin Samuels are two Black men who, at this point in time, have a huge following. They each have a huge following of their own. And their following is both Black men and Black women. Dr. Umar is an intellectual and a Pan-Africanist who is about the upliftment of Black people as a collective, while Kevin Samuels, as we have stated before, is the relationship expert, guru, image consultant who speaks to Black women, particularly single mothers who have been having problems in the dating field. So while one is known for uplifting Black women, the other is accused of tearing Black women down. So for me, this whole thing just makes for an interesting beef, putting up the air quotes again, because it's basically two Black men who are on opposite sides of the coin. And the funny thing is, I actually agree with both sides. I agree with both of their perspectives. I'm really not one for picking sides, because I think there is room for both perspectives. You know, everybody's different. Everybody's not going to approach things the same. Everybody has a different worldview. Everybody has a different outlook. So, you know, there's always going to be a different perspective. But I would probably lean more on Dr. Umar's side, because I like I said before, I personally wouldn't use my platform to constantly criticize Black women. Now,
we get enough of that shit in our life, trust me.
Right, exactly. Black women get enough, you know, criticism and, you know, harsh treatment and what, you know, it's just y'all get enough of that in the real world. You know,
that makes sense. That makes sense.
But cohesiveness and standing together.
That makes. I mean, it makes sense. But
that I wouldn't use my brand for that. That's just not what I'm gonna do. I more so would uplift Black women. That's just me. Now, at the same time, I do think there is room for critique. There is room for criticism, but there has to be room for upliftment as well. You need both, and we can't just keep harping on the faults of Black women. Like, we just can't, as Black men, I'm speaking of Black men on this one. We can't just keep harping on the negative aspects or the faults of Black women. You know, it's on both sides. You know, there are things that Black men need to work on. There are things that we need to work on as men. You know, I can admit that, you know, so it's about holding both sides accountable. And for me, it's like, let's stop this gender divide bullshit. Like, Black men and Black women need to be working together. That's what we need to be focusing on. You know, when it's just Black men going at Black women, or vice versa, Black women going at Black men, like, cut the bullshit. It's just bullshit. And I just think we need to just knock this whole gender war bullshit off, you know, and figure out a way to come together and work together. So, you know, that's how I look at it.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing. If you all don't mind, I think I'll wrap this one up. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this to you, E-Man. What say you, sir?
All right, thank you. I just wanted to make sure my mic was good because it's been acting kind of funny. So first things first, you know, I don't think E-Man's going to walk in here with a PSA, but E-Man's going to come out with something and be like, you know what? Umar Johnson, you are a man child and a hoe too. You know what I'm saying? And a hoe. So PAT, so you definitely want to know why I don't like, I can't even say dislike. Like, you fail me, Umar Johnson. You know, I remember when I first watched you, literally, I think sometime mid-early 2000s and whatnot. Mid-early 2000s, could be late. I couldn't even call what year it was, but I was listening to you and I wanted to see what type of person you are, because it seemed like you was talking about some good affirmation, and I loved everything what you were saying. But I always questioned you because the simple time was every time you would talk, you know, you would always be in a room in front of a computer and whatnot. So I knew something was, it was something weird about you that always kept bothering me and whatnot. So, and I saw, a few of like, some of the talks that you did, that you recorded, first time around. And, I thought it was dope. But now when I take the time, I was like, man, Umar's just another joke. I just watched a video about Umar, talking about the school that he was trying to build. But my man was talking about gambling and whatnot. So I'm sitting over here like, bro, are you gambling funds that you're getting donations from? And, I don't want to, excuse me, but I don't want to be, the person, who's going to be throwing out, the information about donations and whatnot. See, I don't want to put that information out there because I know a lot of people come out at me because of this person, and I own a business, and I know, business flow and how everything moves. And I know the whole things about donations and whatnot. So I'm not going to put that information out there. Extremely crazy to see a video of you talking about gambling, how we need to get this school and whatnot, and I was actually supporting you, when other people were sharing me information about you, about you building the school and everything, because I loved all the ideas and whatnot, and I tell everyone, me being in education, I'm trying to see the growth of the righteousness of good things that you guys are trying to say you're going to do. But it's the same thing how Barack Obama failed us. And that's just like, no, you're selling me another story. And every time I keep looking more and more, you always disappoint me and whatnot. So I feel like you're just feeding up, Pan-Africanism just to keep everyone coming, to your talks and whatnot, and use your services as, as a psychologist and whatnot. If that's how you choose to run your business, man, so be it. But I will not let you keep degrading people and just sit here, because it bothers me every single day. And for more, and put this out here, the nerve for you to throw under Kevin like Samuels, like, what I'm saying, man, you ain't got that right, man, because you haven't done anything to show anything and whatnot at all. And it's been like this for the past like 5-7 years, and it's not going to change and whatnot. Kevin's the homie and whatnot. And when people ask me why you say that, I was like, it's not because how direct Kevin is and whatnot. But I got to give Kevin the applause for being, a black man, putting out at least an effort, helping, black women, an effort, because Kevin don't have to do it and whatnot. He doesn't. Kevin can probably be doing something else, and a lot of people, I know everybody hates the way he delivers things, but I tell people sometimes there's certain things people have to hear to get them to actually move to do something, and I feel like that's why Kevin's not going to change the way he goes about everything, and I tell people I have to respect that because that's that man's business. And for my thing, when it comes to business, my job is not to remove food from nobody's mouth if your business is correct, because that's not how I move and whatnot. Because I'm not going to do something to undermine your business and whatnot to feel like, I feel like, because you're doing this and that, and I don't like you, so I need to get rid of you. That's just not me. Because most people don't know, how Kevin Samuels even started his business. But a lot of people can tell me how Umar started and whatnot, But I still feel like he's just a fool, and he's always going to be a fool, Because every time I hear about Umar Johnson, he keeps making me think about, how, and this is not even dissing, Brother Polite, but how what they're doing right now, that they're always speaking and whatnot, but they're not moving anything. But then you will always see, Polite in a party and whatnot, which is fine and whatnot. But you want to speak on some type of affirmation, but you're not trying to even just help to build people become better people and whatnot. That's why I give Kevin the credit for. He's at least doing something, at least and whatnot. A lot of people don't like his delivery. So big. There's a lot of people that hate people every single day. Not even just black and white, just people in general and whatnot, Yeah? and based and not too sure many people know this, but based upon not just research, but everything, many people say and already stated that the black woman and the black man are the most damaged people in the universe today and whatnot. Now, I'm not trying to, not sugarcoat, but what I'm saying is that, men don't give birth to children, but women do, and everyone has a point where you're being toxic in this universe. The reason why is because we're not meant to be in this matrix that we keep living in, because it gets difficult every day, and it's all about this whole new learning process thing, because nobody has control over their resources, wherever you live, those resources are different. So every 50 state have different resources and how things are moving and whatnot, and within this matrix, certain people have certain people in their lives that helps them out every day, to better their situation, so that they get better resources to do things and whatnot, and no one has control over that power, but you have control of yourself to better yourself, and that's the thing. We have this whole toxic cycle that we can keep moving, but we don't do anything to stop it and whatnot, even though Kevin goes about it the wrong way, but he's trying to stop it, because for me, I'm still trying to figure out, who the hell Umar Johnson has helped towards, as any woman out there and whatnot, because I haven't heard any woman that Umar has worked with and stated that, Umar Johnson has done this for me and whatnot, nothing, nothing at all and whatnot. I see some of the stuff that he does towards all his talks, towards the pictures, the recordings and whatnot. I met people who went to his stuff and whatnot, but there's so many other people who I met that went to his, his talks and whatnot, when they were over there, they kind of disliked them and whatnot. But then I had to learn something new, because when you are in front of somebody, when you get to see the real thing, it's different when you see it in front of a computer when it's recorded. And that's the issue, I want to say people don't battle with, but that's the issue that we got to understand, that, we can't let people like Umar Johnson out there anymore, because I can't see anything that he's done well, and I feel like he probably picked this fight with Kevin only because the simple fact that young lady said something about it, because if she didn't say anything about it, where do you think Umar Johnson would be? The same dude in front of the camera talking about, we need to get this school running, we need to get this running and whatnot,
Well, to my knowledge, I think it was Kevin that sparked it off. Like Kevin,
he sparked up what he said, you know what I'm saying?
And then Umar's responding to him. Dr. Umar's responding to him.
But I thought the simple fact was, when a young lady called Kevin and whatnot. Right.
She mentioned Umar. She was like, why can't you speak more like Dr. Umar? Mm-hmm. And then so that's when Kevin kind of just went in, because he's like, the fuck, like, y'all comparing me to this man, and like,
and that's an insult and whatnot. And I'm glad he recognized that insult, because
I could feel that on because as a man, you don't want to be compared to any other man. So I definitely feel Kevin from that perspective, but he still responded. He still threw shots at Umar because of that. He could have just, the woman who said that, she could, Kevin could have just been like, all right, but we're not here. We're not talking to Dr. Umar. I'm not Dr. Umar. You're talking to Kevin Samuels. And then that would have been it.
That he could have gone about
exactly.
that.
His response was childish and immature.
That's not how Kevin is and whatnot. You see, that's not how Kevin is. So
that's something he needs to self-evaluate with himself while he's spending all this time evaluating everyone else. Learn to be able, first of all, if he felt that it was an insult for someone to say, why can't you speak as someone else? Not, you're lesser than Dr. Umar, or Dr. Umar is better than you. That's not what she said. If his immediate reaction was to insult the person that was brought up, that's immature as fuck.
So it makes sense, but when you see it from the perspective from it and whatnot, to Kevin, Umar is lesser than me. And many people know this. Like a lot of people know this. Well, most people speak about Umar Johnson.
Also,
He's known to certain people, but he is not at that level with like many people and whatnot. Like, I'll put it like this: the minister Louis Farrakhan has more upright than than Umar Johnson. Like when most people think of Umar Johnson, he's like, well, even Brother Polite got more hype than like Umar Johnson.
Listen, if you don't agree with what he says, that's one thing. But I'm not going to discredit a man that holds PhDs, especially a black man in the United States of America. It takes way too much effort to get there. He faced 10 times more difficult situations than any of his counterparts to achieve those PhDs. And there is no way that I'm going to discredit those efforts at all. Brother Polite or whatever his name was don't got no PhDs the last time I checked.
I mean, he don't. But for me, the reason why I discredit Umar is because of the stuff he does. You know what I'm saying? I respect him towards everything he does. I respect towards whatever you got towards your education. But you, as a brother yourself, like, yo, like, I can't get with you anymore. Like, you can't even have a seat at my table and whatnot, you know? Because it's not just a simple fact I don't trust you. It's a simple fact. It's just like, what have you done, man? Like, it's like you have, and this is the one thing about it. There's one interesting thing that he told me that I was very shocked. He told me the breakdown of how public charter schools work and whatnot, you know? He told me he'd actually worked in few one. So, you know, so I'm thinking that's what encouraged him to get to school and whatnot, you know? But I'm going to ask you this, right? If you knew how the system worked and everything like that, and I know you've been going around, helping others and whatnot, but you haven't even affirmed, to really help, the people who say you're going to help and whatnot. Like, he hasn't. That's the thing that bothers me about Umar Johnson. Like, he speaks the correct affirmation, but don't follow through with it and whatnot. And it was very crazy because, when I had that situation with somebody, when I had a conversation with somebody one day, when I jumped on YouTube, Young Pharaoh had a weird video and whatnot, which is not on YouTube, which is on his website, that he exposed Umar Johnson and whatnot about the fraud that he is and whatnot. And there was a lot of things that was in that video that I've already researched and talked to, not just with certain people, but those who've actually went to like his talk and told me the same thing. So it's just hard, especially as a black brother. It's kind of hard to really dive into this and be like, you know what? You just not it and whatnot.
Well, real quick. Here's the thing. So I understand that Dr. Umar is, people see him as problematic, I'll say. I mean, of course, he has his fans, he has his following, supporters, me being one of them, but on the flip side, yeah, he has the people who have issues with him, and that's fine, because I understand that people don't like some of his antics or maybe some of the things he has said before. And it just doesn't jive well with their spirit or just,
they just disagree.
Yeah. But yeah, just like Naya was saying, I will never discredit him in terms of his education and him being, having his PhDs. I just would never do, I just would never discredit him on that level, that's why I make it my business to keep saying Dr. Umar, because I think we need to respect our black scholars more.
Absolutely.
And even Dr. Boyce Watkins, I always make it my business to say doctor. Like, I don't even just say their first name. I'll just say, yeah, Dr. Umar, Dr.
Absolutely.
Because
it takes way too much for us to accomplish these goals. Black males or black females, I apologize, didn't mean to interrupt you there, Pat. But it takes way too much in this country for us to accomplish those goals, to ever disrespect, for lack of a better term, not saying anyone on this podcast did, but for any of those who have grievances with Dr. Umar's antics, okay, fine. You don't have to agree with the way that he handles everything, but that is a completely separate issue from his accomplishments when this country sets out to make it as difficult as possible for us to achieve those goals.
Exactly. Yeah, you know, he's a black man who achieved those goals, you know, and he's had the opposition just like we all have. And, you know, when a black man or a black woman reaches that level, like, I just think, this is just my opinion. And I know, Naya, I know you agree, but I just think we just need to respect their credentials. You know, if we don't like their antics or we don't like something they say or do, yeah, fine. Because of course, you know, we can't all agree on things. We all have a different outlook on things, and that's fine. But when it comes to like credentials, education, things of that nature, things that black men and black women have accomplished despite the odds, I mean, I just think we just need to respect that more. Like that, we just need to say, you know what? I don't really fuck with you as a person, but you're still accomplished. You know, you're still an accomplished black man. You are still an accomplished black woman. You know, so that's just my whole thing. And that's why I personally keep saying Dr. Umar. Like, I do that on purpose. Because, you know, some people will be like, oh, Umar Johnson. And it's like, you don't hear white people talk about their scholars in that way. They put respect on their scholars.
I definitely, like I said, I definitely respect that. But my conscience won't let me do it for him. But you know what I'm saying? But Dr. Watkins and whatnot, that brother is amazing. And he gets no credit for the stuff he does and whatnot. Because I'm always on his IG page, and he actually talks about some really good things. And Dr. Anderson Clark also, too, that brother needs to get his respect more and whatnot. That's one person who is really, really educating people.
Dr. who?
Anderson, what's his name?
Oh, Claude Anderson.
Claude Anderson, yeah.
He's another one. Definitely, we got
that is one brother that I gotta show my respect to and whatnot. Because he is actually not just helped me, but he helped me on certain things to share with certain people, you know, that we don't just need to get it together, but the simple fact is that we as a people are so, I wouldn't say damaged, but our toxicity has damaged us so much towards that we're still choosing to live in it, you know, and we need to do better behind that, you know, and that's the growth that I'm trying to see. And that's the same thing why, you know, that's the reason why I don't like, what's his name? Umar Johnson. But that's just how it is. And so that's how people, it's not going to change until he can show me, like until he can be like, you know, it's not even just about the school, but you can show me and show everyone like, boom, I got this, and you show me something like, yo, this is it, then I'll be like, you know what, brother, I apologize. But till then, you gotta, you just, you know, like, I feel like it's like apples and oranges, you know, at the moment. That's what it is with me. That's just me. So
Understood, fellas. Well, I definitely think that you both made some fair points. Definitely think on this one that I am a little more in agreement with Pat here. I don't particularly, and I just realized that I said earlier in the program, you know, that I disliked Kevin Samuels. I cannot say, I do want to go ahead and take the time to retract that, because I cannot say that I dislike him, because that is not the case. My true feeling on the matter is that I dislike his methods. I do not approve of, in anyone, in any shape, fashion, or form, anything that causes divisiveness in the Black community. We have enough of that shit. Like, we already deal with, as it stands, enough in this country that the last thing that we need to be doing, especially in recent times, is trying to portray any group as solely responsible for anything that is going on in the community. And I'm not saying that Kevin Samuels has said that Black women are responsible for all the negativity that we face in the community. I'm not saying that. But he has most certainly taking a decisive approach to addressing some of the critiques he had for Black women, which is more so along the lines of, I'm going to criticize, and it's up to you to uplift after I criticize. No, sir. It's balance, right? Because the issues that the Black community face, first of all, if we want to be 100% real about shit, most of the issues that the Black community face were not created by us. They were grown by us. They were grown through the experiences and the life choices we were forced to make to a certain extent, but they were not created by us. They were created by those who sought to control our behaviors because of the threat that we pose. So in order for us to be able to see serious change, to have a serious effect on not just the lives we live now, but the generations we're responsible for influencing, you got to stop with all this divisiveness shit. It's not going to float. It's that simple. And so I don't particularly have any dislike for Kevin Samuels, the human being. I have a dislike for his antics. As far as the situation, and I'm going to touch a little more on that in a second. As far as the situation between Dr. Umar Johnson and Kevin Samuels go, I think that Kevin Samuels' approach to the young lady who mentioned Dr. Umar Johnson was immature. And I think for you to be a self-proclaimed relationship guru, you would think that a part of that knowledge base or intelligence that he proclaims to have would allow him to see the fault of his ways. And similarly to Charlamagne the God, who just recently was able to do that without proclaiming that he's any kind of, guru on a matter, was able to do that. And I know those are two different people, but the point that I'm trying to make is they're both two influential people in the Black community. And there is a level of onus and responsibility that Kevin Samuels has that he has not taken. As far as Dr. Umar goes and the school he was supposed to open and all of that, to be honest with you, I have not followed Dr. Umar nor Kevin Samuels for a very long time, so I cannot speak on those matters. Speaking on this specific matter at hand, I definitely agree that what it seems like Kevin Samuels' goal is to portray that the fault of let me see how I want to appropriately word this, that a good portion of the reason that there is so much disconnect in the Black community when it comes to relationships is because of Black women seeking to have these elevated standards for Black men that they don't have for themselves. Does it happen? Absolutely. As a Black woman, I'm not going to sit here and say that there are not some women, not just Black women, but women in general, who have absolutely ridiculous standards. And at this day and time, we live in a society where couples have to be willing to support each other equally. You know what I'm saying? It boils back down to some of the most simplistic principles, like, two incomes are better than one. Okay. And two people supporting each other is better than just one. So I'm not even saying that I completely disagree with his argument, but delivery, I'm never going to stop saying that delivery isn't important. It is. I know this from my career choice. I am a department head. If I chose to approach every fault of the team that I'm responsible for leading with just blatant bluntness and not caring and not attempting to uplift and train them to be better at what they're doing, my team, there would be anarchy. My team would not want to do shit for me. But because I am the opposite and my approach is, here is an area for improvement. First of all, you both know me. I'm a very firm but fair person. I'm going to give it to you straight, but I'm going to make sure that when I am doing that, I'm also giving you the tools to make the necessary improvements. I have a specific example I want to speak to where there is a video of Kevin Samuels, and it is titled, "I Deserve a Gucci Bag." And it's one of his most famous video interviews because the girl, the tagline, at least for the video, is the girl saying, "I deserve a Gucci bag." And his reply being, "You're average at best. Here's a grocery bag." That is not a constructive criticism. Okay. That is tearing someone down. It's unnecessary. And let's keep in mind, he did this after going on video chat with her. So she could have attributed that to not only what she was telling him about her relationship choices, but also her looks. And let me tell you, I don't necessarily agree with her relationship choices. Let me make that clear. In the video, she actually asked him a question because the premise of the video was that videotaping session was actually for anyone who had disagreements with his viewpoints to call in and talk about those disagreements. She took that opportunity because she was actually someone seeking his advice. She took that opportunity to instead seek his advice on when she should tell a man that she's a business owner. So multiple times throughout that video, Kevin Samuels speaks on the fact of how she was manipulative. And I don't know that that is the specific word that he used, but I did know he definitely implies that about how she was manipulative for using that form to get in to ask him a question when he has a separate form for it. I actually agree that it was most appropriate for her to take the proper channels to seek his advice if that's what she was trying to do. However, the way he berated her about it, and he used the guise of using it as a teaching moment. You can use things as a teaching moment without having to berate the person. It's absolutely not necessary in order to teach someone something. And I think that's what Kevin Samuels fails to realize. Oh, if I don't give it to them 100% blunt and straight, they don't really get the message. If I don't hurt their feelings, if I don't make it seem like they're the problem and etc., they're not going to get the message. Sir, that is not the case. I'm speaking from experience. I am saying from experience that that is not the case. Another example that I want to speak to, another video of his that I watched, he did an interview where he went on this podcast. And during that podcast, he was speaking to, and I have the links to these. I would definitely be happy to share these when we do release this session. But he went on a podcast and he was being interviewed by a panel. There were, I believe, 3 men and 3 women. And one of the women he was specifically having the debate with, her name was Amanda. And Kevin Samuels actually started off the debate, and his question to her was, why does she feel that things need to be fair? And the video doesn't really go into why Kevin Samuels asked that question. My guess will be that prior to actually starting the debate, she somehow mentioned that, she doesn't feel like Kevin Samuels is fair in his approach. So during that video, he gives her an analogy. He says, first he asks the question, why is being fair so important to women? And then the two of them go back and forth through this, their individual soliloquies about fairness and etc. And then he throws out an analogy where he says, he asked her first, has she ever been to a club? And she says yes. And he asked her, had she gotten in free? And she said yes. And he said, okay, so when you go to a club and you get in free because you're pretty, do you turn around and say to the bouncer, no, go ahead and charge me just like you're going to charge the less attractive women because that's the fair thing to do? And she says, no, she doesn't. And she stops there. And his point being that women are tending to only care about fairness when it benefits them. So like there's a double standard. And to a certain extent, I understand where it was coming from. But here is my rebuttal. The difference is that in our individual lives, we have complete control over how fair certain elements of our love lives are, which is the point. We cannot control, she did not control how the bouncer let people in and out of the club or not. But she can control what she will or will not accept in her love life. And that is the aspect that she did not reply back to Kevin Samuels with that I would have. The difference, what we're talking about here is, you all know me, what's my MO? Accountability. Accountability is not exclusive to women or men. Accountability is for everyone. That means Black women, and that means Black men. The Black community is separated from a relationship standpoint because the creators of this disdain worked many years and decades to keep us separated with certain initiatives, right? The housing authority is one of them. You can have this many people stay, but it can't be a man, and all of this other shit. And now we are just coming to the point where we've recognized, right? We have a clear view of the agenda to keep us separated. And now is the time where we have to work through all of those anomalies and all of those issues that lie before us. So if you're going to take the time to call yourself a self-proclaimed relationship guru, you better damn well be taking the time to reflect on the entire picture, sir. See the whole scope. And I think that's what Dr. Umar's point was about. It's not that you have these criticisms. That's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. However, if your delivery is not going to be both truth and upliftment, go sit the fuck down somewhere until you figure out how to address things appropriately, and not just to Black women, to Black men. We all as a race face too much in this country, outside influences who are designed to keep us separate. The last fucking thing we need right now is one of us working to do the same. Put your big boy pants on, like you would say to these Black women. Right. Put your big boy pants on and get your shit together.
So I enjoyed everything you said. I'm gonna still say Kevin's the homie, but the one thing what I wanted to say was that, you know, I don't know too many, you know, relations consultants, but there was a really good show years ago that I watched, and it was called Tough Love. And the guy was Italian and whatnot, you know, and he was no nonsense, and he was very direct, and he got very loud with these women.
I remember that show.
I remember that show, you know, and, you know, many people didn't call him crazy, but I was very interested how this fella, very big, and how he was really approaching and whatnot, you know, and he knew what he needed to do. He knew what he needed to say and whatnot, you know, and not just from me. And I tell people, I'd rather you get it from an expert rather than getting it from someone, you know, who is basically, you know, the experience, you know, that what you really want.
May I ask a quick question? And I mean this legitimately. Sure. I do honestly mean this legitimately because I'm not sure of this. What are Kevin Samuels' credentials for him to be a relationship guru? Does he have a life coach license or anything of that nature?
So I think he calls himself an image consultant and whatnot. So when you look at the word image, you're looking at basically, you're looking at not just, internal, but you're also looking externally, See, the difference between what Kevin does and a psychologist, and basically, a psychologist basically talks to you, and gets you to go through your daily, routine, So when you see a psychologist, it's basically, having that safe friend to have a conversation with to help you, go through your problems. But many psychologists, because they're considered doctors, they can actually write prescriptions for medicine and whatnot,
Right. Yes, I'm aware of that. But Kevin Samuels is a self-proclaimed image consultant. As a Black man and not a Black woman, what qualifies him to only specialize as a self-proclaimed image consultant to just Black women?
Because Kevin came from a Black woman, And I know that sounds extremely crazy. And this is why a lot of people also hate Young Pharaoh for the same reason also too. This is the same reason why and whatnot, because we all know the Black woman is God and whatnot, but we also know, not just from studies and everything that goes around in this matrix, that the Black woman is the most attacked woman throughout society, and they plan this, day by day and daily and whatnot, like that is actually true, So for many, and I'm not trying to go into many fellas, but for many fellas and whatnot who probably grew up with a toxic mother, see things quite differently,
Why do you assume it's probably? Yeah. You said probably. Are you saying that for those that grew up with a toxic mother, or are you saying that generally there's a consensus that Black women are toxic mothers?
All Black women are not toxic mothers.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that there are fellas who have grown up with toxic mothers. So I wasn't going to say majority of all women are toxic and whatnot. Right. Men and women are all toxic, But we have to understand that basically that's energy. So and the reason why is that and there's a really good book that I'm reading right now that I'm about to finish that I'm actually going to share with everyone. But it talks about, and I talk about this daily, but it talks about basically, how people take their beliefs, and how you push a belief on someone, but yet someone not, like you struck your own beliefs on someone and they don't believe it. So basically what they'll do is not talk to you. So and just using this sense in this case is that, many people don't, I would say, dislike, Kevin's like, the way he goes about it, because they don't, I wouldn't say align, they basically don't align with his beliefs, how he's getting it done and whatnot. Because if he's not getting it done correctly, I wouldn't say women wouldn't just be calling him, but many people won't be seeking his advice and whatnot, and that's just truth overall, because people are seeking Kevin's advice,
Well, the thing with not to cut you off, but real quick.
No, you're good. You're good.
The thing with that is he has a ton of YouTube videos. He has a ton of content on YouTube, and this is no shot at Kevin Samuels or anybody along those lines. But the thing is, when somebody like himself or anybody else who has a ton of content online on YouTube specifically, at some point you will build a following. People start following you. And yeah, if you're saying the right things and, you seem informed and, you're really giving some game to people, dropping knowledge, yeah, people gonna follow, and then all that just builds up traction. And then at some point, people start looking at that person who's putting out, 10 videos a week or whatever, and they have like thousands of videos by the time the year is over. They're looking at that person as the professional, they're looking at them as the elite, So at that point, once you're like at your, whether it be, your 500th, 550th or your 700th video, credentials probably don't even matter at that point, because now people are like, damn, he has like all this content. This dude or, this gal knows what the fuck they're talking about, because how do you make all these videos, doing X, Y, and Z, So I just think it's interesting. And then, of course, there's the question of what are his credentials? Because people are, of course, like Naya asks, and other people are asking too, what qualifies him? What certification does he have? Some people are going to look at that and they're going to ask that question, which I think is a legitimate question. What qualifies him to be the person to critique Black women in the way that he does?
Yeah, because I'm not going to just walk into a hospital and tell the surgeon they're doing some shit wrong. You know what I'm saying? You're talking about he's trying to give advice that he's hoping would make serious impact on these women's lives. At least that's what he has stated his intention to be, right? Is that he's trying to provide guidance to these women. What certifications do you have to do that? But, I mean, you can't just say I'm born of a Black woman. Everyone who's Black is born of a Black woman or a Black man. I'm not going to sit here and tell a Black man how he should or should not approach certain things. You know what I'm going to do? At least while not trying to understand his side of it and supporting him. That's my issue with Kevin Samuels. You don't, it's not that you have an opinion that is not, a common or agreed upon opinion. That's fine. I have lots of opinions that are not common, agreed upon opinions. But for you to see no error in your ways, first of all, that's narcissism. Okay? Because you're not perfect. You're a human being, just like, I don't care what kind of consultant you are, image consultant, you can give it whatever fancy fucking name you want. You can work out.
I think you actually said that on camera too, though.
Yeah, I mean, you can eat clean, you can work out however you want, you can do whatever you want to do. You're not attractive to someone, just like I'm not attractive to someone. So you can be whatever, self-proclaimed, whatever you want to be. My issue is not with him addressing certain aspects that he sees in individual women. That's not what Kevin Samuel does. Kevin Samuel labeled Black women as this and that. He generalized the fuck out of all of us in multiple ways, in multiple forms. He has done this. And my problem is, obviously, we are in a time right now where we do not have time for that divisiveness. We do not have time for you to make blanket statements. You are only perpetuating stereotypes, which do not apply to all Black women or all Black men for that matter. Let me tell y'all something. I get offended. Like, I will give you the business. Is one of the reasons I actually ended up in Facebook jail, because this chick went on Facebook and said that Black men ain't shit as fathers. I lost my shit. You would have thought that I was born a Black man in transition or something. I said, first of all, don't you ever dare make such a disgusting and blanket comment about Black men, as if we as a community do not face enough as it is in this world with, all different kinds of folk hating us and trying to keep us down. That kind of divisiveness doesn't sit well with me. And I will address that shit every time, whether it's with Black women or Black men. That was the first time I actually got thrown in Facebook jail for 30 days because I went the fuck off on her and did not care. And at the end of the day, I feel the exact same way. You are not helping our movement. You are not helping towards the direction we need to be going as a community.
Right, real quick, and I want to add something else too to that. Naya, what you're saying is on point, but it speaks to what I mentioned, like the Black Manosphere, for example. Some, I think it's really called the Negromanosphere, but of course, people say the Black Manosphere. It's like the Manosphere with whatever. But going back to what I was saying earlier, so. Yeah, Kevin Samuels, he has these criticisms of Black women, but he damn sure he's not the only one. There's quite a few of these niggas out here who have YouTube pages, and they're putting up all this content criticizing Black women, and some of these dudes are blaming single Black mothers for the failure of the Black community, which I highly disagree with. I think it's some bullshit when they do that. To me, that's when I'm like, all right, I gotta like
talking about how the government divisively, put that together and whatnot. I think that's the common logic that they use, but everyone
that's not always the case, though.
I know that's not always the case.
I would love to paint us all as saints, we aren't, and there are just as many toxic Black men who decide for whatever reason that they're not going to stick around, as there are toxic Black women who push them away.
Right.
That's what basically what I was just about to say. But damn, but thank you, Naeem. But that's the thing, because I feel like it's this whole piggyback thing where, like, they're trying to figure out where this toxicity come up. So now everyone feels like, they're coming out here to like explain all this and using a few affirmations based upon the government and whatnot to speak on their claims and whatnot, But like PAT was saying, I feel like it's not this whole dominant effect. It seems like everyone has a say in everything, but it's not drawing up the results that you want, and it's not drawing the results that we need. It's like this whole neutral effect and whatnot. So it's like someone says something, but then boom, then it doesn't go anywhere. And then since it's not going anywhere, now you have everybody spazzing and whatnot. Like even when Nine Angels talk, about somebody who said, Black fathers ain't shit and whatnot, for me, I see that as very laughable, but then I'll tell them and whatnot, just by you saying it, it seems like, you dated a man, probably he was probably Black because you felt, Black, fathers ain't shit and whatnot, but you probably dated a man, that who was probably toxic, and you were probably also toxic too and whatnot. But then, you're pulling out, I would say, more of the blame card, that instead of, talking about and blaming each other about the situation, you're blaming mostly him on the situation, because it takes two to make a kid.
Right. But then she makes a blanket statement about Black men. That's what's going on.
And that's the issue right now,
Right.
So it's not just the whole thing just about accountability, you know what I'm saying? But you have to now just own it's not just the accountability, but you also have to own up to your own mistakes that you make. So it's not even just account. It's about, if you messed up.
That's what accountability is.
Right.
Owning up to the mistakes that you make on both sides. Everyone has to, Kevin, keep in mind, these are not women that Kevin Samuels has taken the time to know. It's not like he said, okay, before I do any of these very public interviews, I'm going to spend 2.5 hours with you sitting and talking and really trying to understand your life choices, which is something that is a relationship you build up with a psychologist or a life coach. It's more than just the surface information that is provided. He's making all of these judgments based on surface information and then trying to tell them they need to be accountable based on that information. Okay, bruh, so do you. You need to be accountable for the fact that you have given yourself, you have self-proclaimed yourself a lifestyle image or whatever it is you want to call it without the appropriate credentials to do so.
I mean, they were fighting Umar on the same thing too, but
Right, but Umar actually has credentials, so that, I think that's a bit different. Because I remember people were coming at him about his degrees, which I was like, "Come on, like, y'all, people need to stop that." But because I mean, just like he said, it's like you could call up the schools that he went to. You could get the number online and call him up and find out.
I don't think it was more that it was the discredit. It was mostly about his doctorate and whatnot, because he didn't receive a doctorate.
Right, but people were still discrediting him.
Yeah. That's where the discredit came from and whatnot. It didn't do simple effect, like it didn't do simple in school. There was like, yo, are you really a psychologist? Do you really have a doctorate in psychology?
Right, but here's my thing with that though. See, then one of the reasons why I have a problem with stuff like that is because, okay, so are we doing that with the white doctors?
Right.
Doing that with the Asian doctors?
They're not, because they're not. So
exactly. Why are people doing that with the black doctors? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
And that's why I don't even bring up that situation. That I feel like that's the same thing. They want, everything has to stay neutral. And it'd be like, well, it's now we got to discredit like Umar because his credentials. Well, like, are you going to discredit this one and whatnot for his credential?
Right, but
9 times out of 10 they're going to say no.
This because he has his degrees are from Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine. That's a real institution. Like he said, if people's issues are whether they're legitimate or not, that is a real institution. Check on the credentials. Yeah. I would be very shocked if the man who's walking around using a real institution.
But the guy who did the whole tough love thing and he had like 2 seasons on the show, and he's been an image consultant, he calls, I forget what they call him. I don't know what he calls himself towards like his title and whatnot. But when that show came out and everything, he been doing it almost like damn near 20 some odd years, and no one, ain't nobody questioned him at all. And I'm not, picking on him, but it was very interesting. No one questioned him at all, only because the simple fact is, I don't even think people even remember who he was and whatnot, because, I mean, there could be a lot of image consultants out there. I don't know how they do about their business. Everyone walks about, but it seems like it's all about who's hot, who's not. And I don't know, it gets very interesting and dicey now at the moment when you start doing the whole picking and choosing thing. But I get what everyone is saying though, I get it, because I'll put it like this, right? I have no credentials at all as an image consultant, man. But because what I do as a profession and whatnot, and how people share their lives with me and how I take in advice, with a lot of people. And, I did this at a very young age when I first started, in fitness and whatnot. I started realizing, that even though my work is in fitness, but people see me as somebody that they can actually talk to, that I'm actually consulting and whatnot. But I don't have credentials in consulting at all and whatnot. Some people go about it differently, others do. Some people like to be direct, some people indirect. For me, I'm a pretty direct person, but I do know how certain people are, and I can feel that compassion, and I can actually, level down my playing field of, how I perceive my information on someone. There's others who just don't want to do that.
Yeah. Well, just so you all have this clarification, I just Googled this, and this is an article from the Huffington Post, and it is in reference to an actual court case that was brought up against Dr. Umar Johnson because of some alleged notions from some folks who claimed that he wasn't an actual doctor. So a part of the doctorate, the question is, does the respondent, Umar Johnson, have legal right to professionally and educationally educate to the general public as a psychologist? The respondent and the court found, yes, Dr. Johnson has received his doctoral degree in clinical psychology and certification as a school psychologist. This is not in question at this point. This is with the Philadelphia board and court system.
Yeah,
so
he's
I
worked
think
in
that people questioning his credentials need to go ahead with that.
He stated before that he's worked at public charter schools. That's how I know. Because of him, I know how that system runs. Like,
at school.
Yeah, because those public charter schools do hire psychologists, but you don't need a high, like, it's not like how you can run your own practice. Because once you get a doctorate, you can run your own practice because you've done research and whatnot. Like, he hasn't done official research that he has to go to a board about it, to get dissertation.
He's received his doctoral degree in clinical psychology.
So it means
from Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine. Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine. He has received his doctoral degree in clinical psychology and certification as a school psychologist.
There it is.
That's not in question anymore.
So that means so in this case, that means that basically this man has, research out there in dissertation. That basically means if I go into the Google Scholar section, I should be able to pull up his work.
The only thing it means that Dr. Johnson cannot do is have like a private patient relations. Like, he can't take on his own patients, but it doesn't mean he didn't receive a doctoral degree. He did. He just didn't take the next steps to be a private practitioner, which is not what he wanted to do. He did move on to get his certifications necessary to be a school psychologist, which he is. So that's what I think people are trying to nitpick at. And the reality of it is bullshit. I'm not nitpicking at anybody that takes that much time to better themselves, especially a black man in the US, bro. No way. It's way too difficult to do that. And regardless of whether you agree with his opinions or not, I'm not taking apart any efforts that anyone makes to achieve those kind of life goals, whether you agree with him or not. And in this particular case, I'm not even saying Dr. Umar was right, Kevin Samuels was wrong. This quote unquote beef, as Pat so eloquently put it, because I agree with you. I'm throwing up quotation marks, Pat, because we already as a community deal with enough that we do not need to have any kind of beef, for lack of a better term, between any of us, especially two prominent figures who have the opportunity to actually lead and appropriately guide our community. But my issues are with Kevin Samuels, his decision-making abilities as far as how he relays his messages and his general, and I'm going to say appearance, because I have never met or spoken to this man. See, unlike him, I'm not going to make artificial judgments when I've never spoken to him or had a conversation with him. So I'm not going to say he is definitely a narcissist. It appears to be that way, though, based on the multitude of research that I've done in this regard. It appears that there is a certain level of narcissism that he has. Oh, I'm the official. I'm the officiate on this, so you're not going to change my opinion. So that's just it. If you are a human being and you are not willing to be open-minded and consider growth and consider that there is an opportunity to learn beyond in certain aspects of life, then you have a long way to go before you call yourself a guru of anything, because the man that knows something knows that he knows nothing at all.
That's true.
Oh, damn. Miss, okay.
She dropped that quote.
I think she just dropped. I knew you was going to get hit, because once you drop a quote, my mouth just went down. Okay.
Well, this was definitely a great one, fellas. I think we definitely dug into some very great topics, definitely made some very great points in all areas. Thank you so much to all of our listeners. And before I completely wrap up, did anyone have just any final words before we give a good shout out to our listeners who have been excellent in supporting us?
I ain't got nothing else to say. I feel like everything was just set on the table. So we're gonna just leave it as it is. We just gonna leave it.
Absolutely agree.
Yep.
Absolutely agree. Well, to all our listeners out there, thank you so much for supporting us. You know, we can't do this without you. We appreciate you. Please, please, please go onto that channel. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share these videos, get that content circulating. We do this for y'all.
And comment, please. Comment, please.
Comment too, yes.
Comment, please.
Comment also, yes.
Yes, and comment, like, subscribe, share. And if you haven't had the opportunity already, please definitely feel free to check out some of the content that our guy PAT puts out. He's a dope rapper, graphic designer. He has a bunch of different avenues. PAT, drop that info, sir.
That's right, thepatchannel.com. And since the last episode we spoke on credentials, so I'm a credentialed graphic designer.
Yes.
So I got my degree in graphic design. So I'm official in that. So yeah, you can hit me up if you have any graphic design needs, and
yes,
I'll definitely help you out on that end.
I like that, sir.
So we're shooting out credentials.
Right, I like that, sir. That
we call it credentials.
Now we're shooting out credentials. So yes. All right, so
that was smooth.
Yeah, I am a certified personal trainer.
Yes, sir.
Also, a holistic coach.
Sharing those sites and to get in contact with you.
And PE teacher. I have a degree in kinesiology from Penn State.
Hey.
Right? So science,
House University.
Yeah. So my science, science and everything for me, that's my thing, regardless. Mm-hmm. So yeah. So this is what I do. This is what I live. I've been a personal trainer for 9.5 years.
Yes, sir. How can they contact you if they want to talk to you about your services, sir?
All right. For those who want any of my personal training services, you can hit me up on IG. All right. It's Woo Athletics 56, WOO Athletics with an S 56. All right. You can contact me over there, or all right. You can find me on Facebook and whatnot, but I'm not email, but you can just let me know. But just contact my IG. That's the best way for all fitness needs. All right.
All righty. Thank you so much, fellas. Appreciate you. Until next time, peace out.
Peace out.
We doping out. Peace.